this room will be filled, O Lord, and that we might all partake of this great wisdom and knowledge that we are going to learn from. We pray for journey mercies for our guest who is about to reach, and we pray that this shall be a life-changing moment for us. We have prayed through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you so much for that prayer. And now we can steadily move on and feel that this function has been dedicated to the Lord. Now, next on our agenda, please, as you come in, please, let's occupy the front seats. Let's occupy the front seats first. And if there's anyone still lurking out there, please, let's enter. We're going to have remarks from the President Law Society. As that is what is next on our agenda, we're going to have remarks from the President Law Society. Mr. President. People, please, clap your hands. We also recognize the presence of the HOD. And we're happy to have him with us.
Thank you. Good afternoon once again. Our guest speaker is not yet here, and the Vice Chancellor that we expected, the Faculty Dean, the Head of Department that is here. I hope there are class representatives here. Is there any class representative, any class coordinator? There's no class coordinator here, literally. We haven't seen any lecturer minus the Head of Department. And definitely the senior learning students, the year fours that are here. I want to welcome you, all of you, for having made it on time. It's been very difficult organizing this, back and forth, preparations, meeting. And I want to recognize the cabinet that I serve with, the Vice President, Rachel Ninsema. You can stand up and they see you. Princess Glory, the Secretary General, the Speaker, Victor Valije, Akanga Ronald, our Secretary for Education, Best Sheila, the Deputy Publicity Secretary. We have Sheba. Where is Sheba? Thank you. She's our Publicity Secretary. We have Mokasa Immaculate, who is our Chief Whip. Is there any person that I've left out? Yes, the IGG, our singer Brennan, is here with us too. I also recognize the Prime Minister, who is the Secretary for the Guild Government. Rutachirwa Ayebari. We also have the Constitutional Affairs Minister, Ms. Katana Peace. The Air Force, the Air Twos, and every person that is here. I want to thank you for making it for the symposium. It's heartbreaking, guys. Okay, I've been corrected. There is a rule of law club. I see Mr. Balam, the Vice President. I'm sorry, you will pardon me. Is there any other member of the rule of law executive that I've not been able to take notice of? Not. It's very difficult. Let me start with very huge lamentations. Us as your student leaders, you've put in a lot of time. Those that are preparing to go in the field, in whichever sector you'll be serving. It could be in the academia, it could be in the judiciary, it could be in private practice. Some will go into the armed forces and all these places. What we learn in class is not as, and all these places. What we learn in class is not enough. We need a couple of more that will require us, to get to hear from those that have walked the journey, to walk us through. And this day and age, we know certainly that the skill set that we need is more than just replicating what we are taught in the academics. You must have emotional intelligence. You must know how to deal with the Internet of Things. You must be able to acquaint yourself with the different disruptions that are happening in the world. And this kind of profession that we've chosen, and its nobility, its importance, I'm very sure that there are ones that are here. You've been called, your kids, your parents, your relatives, your friends, to ask you issues to do with the law, yet you know very little. Someone will call you in year one and tell you, there's a matter that I'm dealing with, can you help me find solution, find a remedy for it? They will call you on family matters, land issues in year one. And I'm pretty sure when you go to law school, your parents were able to celebrate it. I'm very sure that there are those that if you're the first lawyer in your family, it's a big deal, all right? And that's how important this profession is. We are go-betweens. We provide solutions. We provide remedies to a world full of problems. And this is an opportunity for us to acquire this knowledge and then go out here and change society, because it's the very reason as to why we spend the 4 years to acquire the knowledge, obtain the skills, and transform the universe. So this is the intention of this symposium. It's majorly to inculcate those virtues that you need to go in the world and be a better person. When we were starting out this term as your leaders, we were out to change the way things were done. We promised you things in this very room when we were campaigning. I promised that I will create change that is formidable and visible for the student community. I promised that I will exhibit excellence in everything that we do as a team. I promised that never will I be a leader and people are simply taking positions and waiting for the term to end. I'm very sure my team players have been able to build their skills in these small positions that we hold. And we promised that this environment that we able to learn will be better and we shall leave it greater than we found it. There are a couple of things that we've been able to accomplish as your leaders. When we took charge, there was a lot of challenges at the time. It was more of a complacent student leadership. We went overdrive to change things and how they were done. We created all these things that you see. We planted trees, we had refurnished some of the furniture and the fittings that we have. We extended a couple of things in the new building for your entertainment. We did all these things purely to make you feel better. And we hope that those that will come after we are gone, they build up on what we've been able to leave and protect it. These trees that we planted, as we leave, please water them till they get to the size where the shade will be good for everyone to enjoy. These benches that we refurbished and renovated, keep them safe, utilize them with the intentions that we had on the effort that we put in. The new building, enjoy the entertainment with the spirit that we had when we were creating it. I want to appreciate the people that I serve with on the executive. They are phenomenal people. I've seen these young students sacrifice their little thousands to make these things happen. It's been tough. There've been calls where we've called on them to sacrifice that little pocket money they have to impact this community, because we knew we could not wait for the university to provide all the funds that we needed. It's not practical. It is bureaucratic. Some of these things that we needed to change were very immediate. These young men and women gave in their resources without date and feeling, entitled to anything. I want to appreciate the team I serve with. You're great. From the vice president, the speaker, the deputies, and the secretaries, I'm very proud of you. As I leave this pulpit, I want to remind you of the intention that brought you to law school. You wanted to be a better person in every way. Keep that going on. Sharpen yourself. Learn and relearn. And let the journey not stop. Because I believe, by average, we are very young people here. If God has planned us about 8 years, that's a long way to go. Let's keep excited about this profession. Let's keep willing to learn more in this profession as we get to hear from the guest speaker that is coming through anytime soon. Let's take note of those important nuggets that spills at us. Thank you so much. I want to thank God for this day because I really wanted it to be a success, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be. My name is Wes Gevanaji. May God bless you as we get to listen and learn. Blessings.
Yes, those were remarks from the President of the Society. But I also want to add a voice on his message and say that for events like this, we really need to always stand up, and you're here, you can tell a friend, because there's a lot you can learn from this. You get me? Yes, we recognize the presence of the university speaker, Mahandishi Alan. We also recognize the presence of Mr. Kavachenga Asaf, the Dean of Students. And next on our agenda, we have remarks from the Head of Department, Mr. Alan Bills. Please welcome him.
Yes, good afternoon. Are you colleagues? Good afternoon what? Students? Yeah, anyway, good afternoon, students, or lawyers to be, for that matter. Our Dean of Students, we welcome you very, very much. Thank you for being on time. The President, Law Society, Bishop Stewart University, together with your committee, I want to not only welcome you, but equally thank you for putting into consideration this amazing program. Now, it is a symposium about AI and the law. It's very interesting that when the dean here and the rest of top management were thinking about the Bishop Stewart University Week, which is undergoing as we talk, the theme as well that they thought about had an element of artificial intelligence. So, Mr. President, together with your committee, I want to thank you very much for coming up with a topic that is as relevant as today, but also most importantly, because of thinking along the lines that the university is thinking, as demonstrated in the ongoing exhibition and BSU week. Now, of course, the fourth years who are doing their last semester with us, I want to hope that your last 5 semesters here have been very good semesters. I want also to hope that, most importantly, you are feeling more as lawyers than when you came, when was it, 2021? Yes, I want to believe that you feel the difference within yourselves, especially in terms of knowledge. And my very humble request, of course, is that as you proceed to, finish your university level and then become practicing advocates in whatever capacity, you remember where you've come from, especially this institution. It's an institution that we look forward to continue partnering with you as alumni and any other capacity, of course, that you will be holding. Secondly, for the rest of the students that I am still here with, I promise that in conjunction with the law societies that will come subsequently after this one, for as long as you have programs that have a positive impact on the students, the law students, that is, and also, of course, sorry about that. Yeah, so I was saying that the law societies that will come after this one, my promise to you is that I'm ready, very, very ready to work with you, especially on programs that are meant to enhance knowledge, especially legal knowledge. And such include, of course, symposiums like this one. We also want to start a legal aid clinic, a serious legal aid clinic. I'm already doing tabs on that. So the moment we roll out the said legal aid clinic and I call upon you, I expect a lot of support from, of course, you, the students. And then very, very soon we'll also be putting up a moot court. And that moot court won't be for decoration, of course. That moot court is equally to encourage you to sharpen your public speaking skills, your reasoning skills, especially from a legal perspective, but also most importantly, to enable you enhance your research skills, because you cannot participate in a moot court when you've not done some extensive research. So those three key things are amongst the many that I want to put in a lot of effort to ensure that they benefit both the student body and also grow our faculty to greater heights, of course. I know for a fact we are number one as far as the western region of Uganda is concerned, the number one law school, undoubtedly. So our aim should be, of course, to beat the rest of the law schools that are in the country. And as you well know, that is what will also make you very proud alumni of this law school. So I encourage you, it doesn't matter what class you're in, whether first year or second year or third year, or even fourth year. Please release yourself and participate in the various activities that the Faculty of Law will be providing. Now, maybe just to as an exercise, please ask your fellow colleagues to come and join us because the chairs are still empty. And I know you have WhatsApp groups. So just rally them up to come and be part of this event because it is for your own benefit at the end of the day. What you will learn today in form of a symposium is something that perhaps with the lecturers might not tell you. So the essence of having such symposiums is also to enable students have the benefit of knowing what practice is like. And practice is not just about, of course, going to court. Practice is way bigger than the handling civil and criminal matters. You can be a company secretary, you can be a lecturer, you can be in the civil rights areas of law, you can work in government, you know. So all that, as far as law is concerned, all that qualifies as practice, practicing the law. It's just that the area is what differs, but it is still practicing of the law. So as you prepare to go and practice what you've been taught here, then it is important that in whichever field or area of law that you'll be doing your practice, you do it with zeal. And sometimes you can only discover that by, attending symposiums such as this that we've organized. So allow me to conclude. Once again, thank you very much, the Law Society and the President and the committee. Thank you very much, Dean, for gracing our occasion. The Vice Chancellor texted me and told me that he will be part of us. He's right now, I think, at the exhibition. He needs to conclude with them. And after that, he will be here to also interact with the lawyers of his university. So please ask your colleagues to come and be part of this occasion. And we have a great one. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ishwadi, for those remarks. Members seated at the back, please, let's occupy the front seats. Does it look nice when you people are seated at the back and this place is really dry. So I'm calling on the Dean of Students to give us some remarks as our guest arrives.
Thank you. I don't know whether it's the MC of the day, the head of department, and members who are here. Good afternoon. Councils, or you are, do they call you the councils, or you are still in the making? Not yet. Pipeline. I would like to thank God so much for giving me this opportunity to come and speak to you this afternoon. I would like you to appreciate your head of department. You can clap for him because he invited me and I had to put it on. And I believe some of you might be seeing me for the first time. Can I see those who are seeing me for the first time? Just be sincere and wave to me. If you know you have never seen me, you are seeing me for the first time. Yes, I'm seeing one there. So you mean all these people have ever seen me? So even those behind, you have ever seen me? Where? And incidentally, on my part, I've never seen. I've seen you. As introduced, I am Reverend Canon Asaph Kabachenga. Reverend Canon Asaph Kabachenga. I think the one who is recording, he will add some of the things. Kabachenga, who knows the meaning of that name? Do you know the meaning? Or you always hear the name Kabachenga? Mm-hmm. Who knows the meaning? Uh-huh.
Thank you so much. Kabachenga is a Nyankole name. I'm sorry about my voice. It's a Nyankole name that means someone that understands or knows them, the people.
I think he has done it well. You can clap for him. So in summary, it is all about understanding. So don't think it is a botanical name. It is just like that. Two things I'm going to mention, then I will shut up. Why study law? Personally, I did not study law. I am a teacher by profession. I am a priest by calling. I think if I was given opportunity, another course to do, I would opt for law. Why? Law enhances critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Do you agree that it enhances critical thinking and problem-solving skills? Legal studies train individuals to analyze complex situations, think logically, and develop well-reasoned arguments, skills applicable in various fields. So for me, that is one of the reasons I would choose law. And remember, in society, we have very many what? Problems. And we want problems to be solved. And one of the courses or one of the professions that can help us solve the problems is law. But again, I would have a disclaimer. Me, I'm a Christian. And I would feel more comfortable that if I'm practicing law, I practice it in a Christian way. But can that one work? So that means you are all Christians here. And you are going to practice in a Christian way. And I was joking with one of your students here who is a lawyer. Sometimes, I told you don't record everything. Some of the things you will leave. Sometimes you lawyers, when you are speaking, I don't understand you. You know that the road is passing this side, but you want me to first take this route. Then I asked him, is it how you train them? He said, sometimes they train us like that. For me, I feel like when it is like this, I want to take that route. But sometimes you see how the lawyer can take you this side. That one may not work for me. Me, I want direct things. So meaning that I may not manage well. Do we have such lawyers here? Or that is the training? Why don't you be direct? It is the training, And that one may not work for me. But I also want to learn how I can maybe do some of those arguments. Then, when I talk about analyzing, I want to give you a statement. Analyze it, since you are lawyers. Already I'm a teacher. So, also, we want you to, that you have achieved academically, we want to look at your emotional well-being and also your social needs can be addressed. That's why you have very many activities. When you come to our office, we don't only support academic. Even when you come with your activities, together with the guild government, we support those activities. And I have seen an activity of, is it Law Society? They came to the office. They're organizing, is it a quiz? I may not recall properly. But they came to the office, and we are ready to support. So if you have any challenge, you can come. And of course, we also go chronologically. We look at whether the activity is going to involve all people, whether it is going to benefit, and we help you in that perspective. I think I had promised to speak few words. Allow me to finish here, but I want to give you a verse now as a canon. And one of my favorite verses for young people like you is 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 5. 2 Timothy, verse 5. And it says, I'm going to read only the part 1 of that verse. And it says, as for you, always sober-minded. As for you, always be sober-minded. So when you read the verses, let me teach you how to interpret the Bible. So don't read only one verse. You read the verse above, you read the verse in the middle, and the verse following. Why is he saying, as for you, always be sober-minded? That means there is a problem. He first talks of what is taking place in society, and maybe like now, the issues you go through, whereby somebody like you as students, you have your own challenges. Hello? Those people who are behind, I think they put me off long time ago. Hello? Hello, madam. Can you first suspend that activity? And I first finish my point. I said, you have your own issues you go through. Things as young people you go through. Maybe there are those who might be having issues. Maybe with them, when you put their alcohol, they will run for it. When you put their, which other things? I am asking you now. When you put alcohol, they will run for it. You put betting, they will go for it. You put what? You know them, you are trying not to tell me. You know those things. In fact, I told you that I'm a teacher. I normally tell the students I teach, you are here doing law. For example, this semester, how many course units do they have, like those who are finalists? How many? 6. Thank you. You find a student is having 6 course units, but he adds another course unit of relationship, adds another course unit of gambling, adds another course unit of alcohol, adds another course unit of, which one? Maybe fornication. Weekend marriage. That is more of relationship. So you find the person has like 10 course units. And for you think the person has only what? 6. And that is why sometimes you look at when the results come, sometimes they may not be friendly. Because somebody has failed to balance. And the other course units take much of our time. So for me, when I was a student, I would only go for those I had. Those additions, maybe the one of going to the chapel. And that one cannot overburden me. So I'm suggesting that you concentrate on these 6. Somebody after my talk will say, but even the 7th one is more important. So I suggest you concentrate on what? The 6. Those are core. That's what I'm saying. Always be sober-minded. That even when those course units are there, for me, I will not go for those what? Course units. And that one will show that you are sober-minded. But when you want to take all, there is a problem. And on your own, you cannot manage. You need the power of Jesus. That you come to this institution, you go with a degree that is perfect. Now this one, I'm going to mention this statement. You will forgive me. If you know that it is going to hurt you, forgive me when it is still early. There are people I studied with when we were doing our degrees. By the time they graduated with STD, sexually transmitted degree. So you come when you are, but of course, why I said you need to forgive me, it may be by accident that somebody came, maybe was born with the what? The HIV, the virus. Load it. I am seeing this guy. I don't know whether you load. Do you know Nyankore? Okay. The head teacher stood on the assembly ground and said, and sang a song because of the situation that was taking place about 2 students. Said, abazire twinobsas. Then abeji na obagira ngo nimwe abashomesa mwinobugiraki obsas. Parents have pain because they invest in us, and by the time they come to us, things may not be different. So show me this phone, yours. I want to demonstrate with this. You see, this phone is Samsung. Is it Galaxy or any other type? It's what? So it is more than Galaxy. S25, more the same. If I had by accident, a jesimu ya yansho kankomungareke tura hands. Ninjarangu bajangu muretenkaro baro yazumumkwate. The way how we can protect our gadgets. If it was the way we protect our bodies, this world would be free from problems. The person can protect this gadget that no crack should be on this phone. But if you tell these guys, or this lady, that if you go with this lady and has HIV stroke AIDS, the person doesn't mind. But the way we protect our gadgets, if it was the way we would protect our bodies, so the message I am ending with, the way we protect Honorable Tacheru, the way you protect your gadget, I pray that you also protect. I'm just using him as an example. I'm not saying that he's not protecting. I've just used him as an example. Protect your bodies. I think you drive in a town on Cebu. If somebody touched on your car, if somebody touches on the car, the way we quarrel, the way how people abuse, but you tell the person, protect your body from alcohol, from HIV, from drugs, people will not listen. But these gadgets have spare parts. You make sure you guard your bodies the way you guard these phones. In the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I will get one time, a symposium at Njemba package. The other time I was supposed to come for the fellowship, but I had some issues, but I pray that you invite me again. That's when I will give you my testimony of how I was a P7 dropout. After P7, I dropped out of school. But now, you see the level I am on. Not by my own power, but by the grace of God. Be blessed.
Thank you.
Yes, another hand clap for the Dean. And from his remarks, there's a lot to learn. And let me hope we have all learned, because personally, I have learned that we need to prioritize. Like he talked about cost units, you add what you want, but prioritize what is very important, and you stick to the purpose of why you decided to do law, why you are BSU, and law faculty in particular. And this is a special reminder to the fourth years. You're in the evening time of your course. Work hard, and please, 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 I'm saying it 3 times, do not leave any man behind. Yes. Let's work. Yes, I was saying for years, like help each other and do not leave anyone behind, because it is important to stick together and stay together.
You call me anytime you want my support as a dean of students. But if you send a message past midnight, I may not read it. But a call, I can pick it. 0782 0782. Are you following? 17 15 40. Now let me speak as a gentleman. 48. So because I know some ladies will say 48. So, and some gents? 0782 17 15 48. I also have Airtel. 0701 17 15. Wow. Aha, very good. 48. So call me in case you have any challenge. Feel free to call me. We are going to support you. And anytime you need our support. Thank you.
Yes, yes. I saw some class lists moving around. Please endeavor to register. Because if you don't, I am sure and I believe there are consequences. Please, members, I'm not threatening. Yes. We also recognize the presence of the GRC Law faculty, Kato Williams. At least you could come in and wave to the people. As I was telling you, for years, don't leave anyone behind. You see your friend who's not prioritizing the right things, they are slacking off. We're in the evening, you don't need to slack off. But thank you for being here, and please continue to tell your fellows, to tell your friends to come around, because it is going to be very nice, it is going to be educative, and there's a lot to learn. By the way, there's an exhibition at main campus. How many of you have gone there to provide legal knowledge? The Hod was talking about a legal clinic here. How many of you have actually tried it out? Yes. So I call upon you to make sure you go there and you provide legal knowledge, because people on the other side look at you guys as, I don't know how to explain it. They would really explain it better. Maybe we can have the speaker say a few words and say hello to you.
Thank you so much, the Speaker Law Society. My voice is too bad, you will forgive me. I have some cough. The HOD in his absentia, the Dean of Students, the Law Society Cabinet, the Rule of Law Cabinet, the leaders from the Law Faculty, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Alan Mohandichi, a fourth-year law student, and I serve as the guild speaker. I came with the guild president, but he just moved out. He got some emergency call. But still, we traveled with our patron, who doubles as the dean of students. I take this singular honor to appreciate the Law Society Symposium. And we think by close of this symposium, we are going to learn a lot. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best.
Yes, thank you. Please upload for him. As we prepare, our guest of honor is already here. Let's prepare to welcome him. Yes, let's prepare to welcome the guest of honor. Yes, we welcome our chief guest. Welcome our chief guest. So you can sit. So in the presence of the guest of honor, we shall have the President Law Society. There are a few things as we officially start the function or the symposium. Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon. My name is Wesige Banyaji, the President Law Society. Our guest speaker, the Dean of Students, the Head of Department. Our guest, we have a guest right here. It's important that we recognize him. The Cabinet of the Law Society, from my deputy and every person that is in here. The Rule of Law Club, the Vice President is in here, and every person. Those that are serving in the guild government, I see the Speaker of the guild government, and the Constitutional Affairs Minister is here, the Prime Minister, and every person that has made it this afternoon. I want to appreciate you. And my classmates, the Air Force, thank you for making all this possible. The symposium is intended, like I've earlier stated, to empower students more than what we obtain in the classroom. This is meant to sharpen the saw. You go to whichever sector you be laying your hands on, you're good to go. As lawyers, the learning experience never stops. You can see that we just had, the amended, the reviewed laws. It means that even if it's a Supreme Court justice and they have not abreast themselves with the new arrangement with the laws, they would be out of place. So it is reading, learning, and it never stops. And this is an opportunity that we've welcomed Council John Musime to speak to us on a very important topic, artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things, how abreast are lawyers, how prepared are lawyers, especially us that are still young and excited about the nobility of the profession. We thank God that he's here and he accepted our invitation. We can't wait to have him speak to us. Let me now welcome the head of department to welcome the guest. The dean is supposed to be here, Professor Mukubwa. Unfortunately, just lost a loved one and he walked out. But let's just pray for him and accept his apologies, the head of department.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President. I re-echo what he has said. Apologies from our Dean of Students. He has gotten a very quick call. A Braga here. And I can tell you for free, the students are looking forward to your presentation, to your encouragement, and to your wisdom, because you are a senior in the profession. And also, I would like to inform you that when your presence here automatically makes you a partner of the law faculty at Bishop Stewart University. So please, any other day, any other time, when you're called upon to share wisdom or to partner with us for any activity, we request that you both fit in. Please come and join us so that we make this faculty a great one. But most importantly, let these students who are coming to the field very soon also appreciate the fact that they are there because of people like you who spared time to come and encourage them in their journey of becoming advocates. On that note, the floor is yours. The mic is there. Please, let's welcome our guest of honor.
The Dean of Students, the Head of Department, President Wesige, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. It is not often that I see undergrads this very well dressed. May I please first pass my compliments. You guys are very well dressed. I would like to start by saying that when you asked me to come, the letter you gave me, I saw, was signed by Professor George. George? What's the first name? Grace Patrick Mukubwa, who taught me back in 2007. That played a big role in me accepting this, in addition to what I feel is my duty to give back to society. Freely you have received, freely you must give. I hope that maybe the Law Society, if nobody takes note, that I've answered my public call of duty to come here and have a chat with you. The topic you gave me was to discuss building a successful legal career. What skill sets does it take in light of emerging technologies of AI? Now, I have had the opportunity to build a career in a private legal practice. You see, law is a very dynamic profession. It can go many ways, public or private, and that if you studied in your introduction to law, you must have found that the definition or differentiation of law is one of the most complex subjects, because when you define law, it can be civil as opposed to common law. It can be civil as opposed to criminal. So we're not doing so much of a distinction when we say private legal practice. In private legal practice, that can be many things as well. Corporate advisory work, which is also still a big subset, but in private practice. So, Mr. President, you are very fortunate that I humbly requested a good friend of mine from law school, Mr. Jasper Oketa, who kindly agreed to come and join me here. So please welcome him as well. Mr. Jasper Oketa is a forensic auditor at very senior level in the Office of the Auditor General. So I thought that my competence and experience is only to speak about private legal practice, and he will get some moments to also add a perspective for those of you who wish to try a career in a public service. Now, initially I tried to write a paper, but I'm very glad that I have not completed it, because I thought the method that might work here is for us to simply have an in-person conversation. Jasper, do you remember us having a lawyer come in to speak to us? There was when we did international public law, we had somebody coming in from Civil Aviation Authority to teach us international air law. I think this happened in 2005. It was very memorable, but that could have been the only time. I know that now the faculty in Makerere has also improved a lot. There are many lawyers who come. You might go through law school without meeting a real lawyer, right? Am I right? Yes. So that I thought we'll just have a discussion, an in-person discussion. And then when I finish the paper, I'll give it to you in the course of the week. You can read. So if you're one of those people who like to read, you'll have that. But today, I think let's have a conversation. So let's begin with building. When I see the word building, what comes into my mind is agency, personal agency. I would like to get some feedback that you are following. When you build, you do it yourself. So meaning to say that building your career is a self-help project. It's a do it yourself. So when you talk about building, it's a recognition that the agency is your own to build your career. So that is what we are talking about. How do you yourself build your own career? That then takes me to a career. What is a career? Perhaps if you have a microphone going around, I'd like to pick minds of learned friends here, what they think a career is. What is a career in your view?
I'll start. I'll open up the discussion. A career, in my view, is.
Would you be so kind as to tell us what your name is?
I'm sorry. My name is Barija Victor Masco, and I'm also the Speaker Law Society. A gentleman is my boss. Now, a career to me is what you do for a living, is a livelihood, is something you have passion in, something you feel you like and you can take on and do without anybody pushing you, anybody directing you, something that you do wholeheartedly. That is one way to look at it. Anybody else?
That is interesting. A career, something you do passionately. Supposing you passionately play pool. You know the table game pool? Does that make it your career? Okay, that's interesting. Let's just hear another view. What is your career? When you say you're building a career, what exactly are you doing? What is a career?
Thank you very much. My name is Ankunda Shifra, and to me, a career is, you can define it as a calling, like according to someone's conduct or character, something they are passionately interested in.
No, just hold the microphone, Shifra. Suppose I like to bake, because a person can be many things, isn't it? I can be a lawyer, but I like to bake. Does baking become my career? Answer, please answer.
I don't think so,
Why not?
because it is related to the course you are doing.
Okay, that's a
That
good.
one can
Yes,
be-
that's a good
it can be-
differentiation.
it can be
When Jasper and I were in the university, we were taught by two lecturers who followed the teaching method called the Socratic method. Those lecturers were Professor Joe Loka Onyango and Dr. Faizo Mkasa. It helps you to reason for yourself. Eh? Do they give you notes here? They give you notes. It's, you know, where I work, I'm a courtroom lawyer, and before you speak, we take oaths. The lawyer has signed the roll that they will always tell the court the truth. The witness has taken oath. So is that your final answer? Do you guys get notes or not? In the university, it's called higher learning because you must think for yourself. Eh? It's when you go to the dean and say, the lecturer is not giving us notes. If you say that, we shall point you in the general direction of the secondary school and say you might have business to do there. Okay, let's just close this quickly. Let me take more what we call careers. What is a career?
Good afternoon. My
Hi.
name is Rachel Nisima. And to me, I think when you said if you are a lawyer, you asked if you are a lawyer and you like baking. I think baking is a talent. It's something that gives you peace of mind. So a career can either be, you can either be passionate about it, or you can do it just because you need a living, something that you do to earn a living, something that.
I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
You're saying you're doing it for a living. Supposing you win a lottery today and you have $2 million, will you stop to do it? Because, I mean, you're not doing it for a living, you already have the money. I can see some people saying that they would leave school already here if they got the money. But I hope I'm making many points, except I'm not giving you notes. Do you understand? I hope you people understand what I'm saying. So we are discounting the part of money, yeah? It is a subset, it's not the whole construct of what a career is, okay? Because be careful what you wish for, you might get it all, yeah? You might get the money in the first year, and so what? You understand? You know, we must, the country is growing, eh? We must stop thinking as poor people do. Do you understand? The goal is for everybody to get rich. Do you think that people in Dubai do not pursue careers in law just because their parents are rich? Do you understand what I'm saying? So you could be successful. Do not always imagine that you'll always be this way, okay? You could win your first case and get a healthy payment. Are you going to retire? Some people, when they win their very biggest case, they don't go back to office. Do they have a career in law, or are they doing gambling? If it works out, I quit. Who bets? I hear there's something called betting. Every better is not putting their hand. You are over 18, I suppose. But you get the point. Okay, I think let's move on and say a career is, I had the word calling, it is what you do professionally. Okay? It's the service, it is the calling of life that you choose, the endeavor in life that you choose to do. What is your endeavor in life? Ultimately, it's more than earning, because when you see me, if you tell people who John Msime is, they'll tell you, I am a lawyer. They will not tell you I'm Anglican, I'm a Mchiga, at least by half, I'm all that. They don't tell you that. They'll tell you I am a lawyer. And that doesn't refer to how much I have and all that. So that's my understanding of what building a career. So we're talking about our personal agency to build a career, isn't it? All right, I'd like now to talk about another complex subject called success. This time, maybe let me go this side and start from the backbenchers. The backbenchers look like the people who are here by force. They are not very interested in. Can we have that microphone at the back? I should like to hear what the ideas are. What is success? What is success? Do we have a rapporteur? Have you guys studied research methods? Okay, so do we have a rapporteur who is recording any of these things? Not electronically. I'm saying, you are General Secretary. So I'd like to hear some ideas. You repeat them to me. Success. Let's just take 4 so we move quickly. I know it's Valentine's Day. I'm staying everywhere. Every hotel I've seen in Barra, they are waiting for you. It looks like you're somebody's date. I don't want to hold you too long. Yes, what is success?
My name is Uwingene Monique, LLB4. I can define success as an achievement of your goals or the positive results that come out from your efforts.
Thank you. I like that. Positive results that come out of your efforts achieving your goals. Okay. Let me ask you one question. What I'm talking about is critical thinking. For those of you who have not already noticed. You can never be too sure in your own thinking. That's a lawyer can't do that. Doesn't mean you have self-doubt. It just means you must critically question yourself. So I have a question for you. Supposing you have your goals, I want to tell you a story. My dad left Kabale, went to the university, and they had a person whose goal was, I finish the university, I get a government job, and buy a bicycle. And indeed, God answered all his prayers. He was on government sponsorship, got money, and bought a bicycle. Was he successful?
Yes, he was.
Okay. According to him. So this idea of success, does it have anything to do with what other people think?
No. No, it doesn't.
Let me hear. Let me hear your answer first. It's you who brought this idea that we are discussing.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't depend on other people.
Yeah.
At all.
Yes, sir.
Supposing you say, if for me in this paper, if I can get 45, but the pass mark is 50. For you say, me, if I get 45, I'm good to go. And you indeed get your 45. Have you succeeded?
Yes, because it's part of your efforts.
The last one for you, because you brought a very nice idea. For you, you say, let me go to court. I'll tell the judge what I think, whatever they decide. If you lose the case, have you succeeded? So in other words, the question for you, is there indeed an objective matrix of success? Is it objective or is it strictly subjective? Or is it a mix of two?
Subjective.
It's objective.
Yeah.
You know, I'm now getting confused. Does the pressure increase or decrease? It increases. Okay, let's hear another thought. What is success? There's a gentleman here in a suit. Everybody is wearing a nice suit, so I can't differentiate anyone by referencing suit.
Thank you very much. My
Yes.
name is Ayeba Rutachiro.
Yes.
My definition of success is basically obtaining achievement of an objective that is set. And I do believe that it is objective, because even that bicycle is something, is part of our environment. So depending on where you come, if you come from the village and that is where you are a village king, and the person who was successful there had a bicycle, and that was the epitome of success. If you move to the city, the thoughts must change. So objectivity, it's about realism. Wherever you are, what the factors of the environment is. So unless you have delusion of grandeur.
So let me understand. It looks like it's, from your definition, are we dealing with a moving target? This year you are not successful, by tomorrow's metrics you are, the other day you are not.
It's not a trend, but there are certain principles that are definitive or characterize success.
Okay, thank you. That's a very useful contribution. Let's have just one more from the gentleman here in a pink shirt, then we can move on from constructing, understanding the theme that you guys chose.
Thank you, sir. My name is Binomcha Ivan. On the surface, success is a positive word. So if I may define success in my own thinking, success is accomplishing a person's desired goals. For instance, since my childhood, I was dreaming of finishing P7, and by God's grace, I have reached in P7.
Let me just interrupt you.
Right.
Let me just interrupt you.
It's fine.
Yes. Do you have goals?
Very much.
Are they written down?
Yes.
Does everyone, if you have written down goals in, let me see your hands. If you're going to be honest, do you promise to be honest? Half that doesn't have goals written down. So, do you mean that if you don't have written down goals, you're not successful? What if, let me give you another example. There are people who are goal-driven. There are others who go and say, let me go and see what happens. They live day to day, day by day, and they surprise themselves they've done very well. Are they not successful? It's a question of critical thinking. All answers given, thank you very much. Right. You can have your say.
Thank you.
All the answers given are correct. So success is not exactly uniformly defined. I would just like to share with you some thoughts on success and tell you how I mean to proceed with my lecture to you. People say success is getting what you want, and I agree. But success also has to do with happiness, isn't it? You don't want to be, and happiness is in the real time, isn't it? Happiness is not a destination, isn't it? Even now you must be happy as you, it's a lot. You accomplish more when you are happy, isn't it? Why are people not agreeing with me? You can be a very successful peasant, but I don't know if you'll be very, very happy. Do I have some agreement that it has to do with happiness? So it's important that you love what you do. Because if you don't want to be a prosecutor, it's not going to satisfy you sending very many things to jail. Rather many people to jail, because that's how it will register in your mind. To another person, they'll think they are keeping the streets safe. So depending on where your mind is, that is what success is to you, but it makes you happy or accomplished. Success is also, I want to draw for you an image of an airplane. There's an aerodrome when you're going towards in a shire. There's an aerodrome there. Planes fly on two wings. So in my view, success flies on two wings, one being achievement and contentment. So the truth of the matter is that for you to be successful, you must have some level of achievement. You cannot say that lawyers never lose, even when all your clients get sentenced to death, provided you are paid. For you, you are succeeding. You cannot say it does not matter what the judge says. For me, I feel I am successful. So I think then I tend to agree with the views in the room that saying that there's some objective assessment or measurement of success. You cannot come last in your class all the time and say you are successful. That UPE started in the year that Jasper and I were in P7, and we won't tell you the year. But the government policy came and said students don't fail. I hear there are universities where students don't fail. But that's just really masking or postponing when you will what? Fail. Surely there must be some level of achievement. But now I must caution you. Achievement is different from comparison. Because like they say, comparison is a thief of joy. Isn't it? So you have to balance between achievement and contentment. Isn't it? And I have some bad news for some of you about careers. It is very difficult, and in fact I cannot recall off my head reading the list of the richest people in any country and finding names of lawyers. I can see some people want to change course. Now is a good time to change to business administration. By the time you choose a career, especially a professional career, it is not expected that you're going to become Sudiru Parelia. So if you want to if your calling to law is that you're going to amass a lot of wealth, that's not what professions are about. Somebody knows Warren Buffett? Somebody knows Warren Buffett? Can I see your hand up? So Warren Buffett is speaking at Harvard, and a student who is medical school asks him and says, "You've told us a lot about making money, etc. But how am I going to do this? Because I work in medicine, microbiology, and all of that." And says the truth of the matter is that if you're going to be a doctor, you are also not going to be the wealthiest investor because you measure your success in different terms. The good news, though, is that you're going to be fine. If you succeed, you will live a very comfortable life most times. Yeah. What are the things that you consider to be comfortable? When you are young, I don't know what you dream about. Mercedes, Benz, all those things you might get, but they will not make you the richest man in Barara. And if that is your aspiration and you want to use law, we are now you stand a big risk of running into something called ethics, and the Auditor General might take interest in you. Jasper will speak to you about that, and that's about ethics, yeah? So I want to share with you a quote. I believe it's by Mark Twain. Let me just confirm now that we have Google here. But no success can be separated from right living. Success cannot be separated from what? Right living. You understand what I mean? It is like passing an exam by cheating. Have you learned the material? Supposing someone who did, the quote is this, and it is indeed, there is no real excellence. There is no real excellence in all this world which can be separated from right living. That is the quote, and it's a quote attributed to David Starr Jordan. I believe that. There's no right living, that there's no real excellence in all of the worlds we can be separated from right living. If you're going to steal your client's money, if you're going to take those orphans' land that you're drawing the wheel from, well, you'll get the money, but it will feel very empty for you because someone else will get the money having gotten it the right way. And in your conscience, you'll always know that that car you are driving is the one you got from a bribe that you let a murderer go away. Who has studied intellectual property? Yes. Do you know obligations in confidence? Trade secrets, obligations in confidence. Yes, please? Do you remember? It's an obligation that binds what? The conscience, isn't it? So some people have no conscience, so there is nothing for the obligation to bind. There's nothing for the obligation to bind. So, now I would like to talk about AI before I get to what you want to hear, and which Is that car passing? Okay. All right. It's not my favorite soundtrack to the little speech I'm making to you. So we're talking about AI. There's this thing called AI that is emerging. Lady, do you know what is AI? Is it alien intelligence? Is it artificial intelligence? Or is it both? We used to have a subject called computer and the law, yeah? Do they teach what they call computer and the law? What do they? You don't have here, computer and the law. Okay, let me what is AI? Feel free to Google. You can also use ChatGPT, Gemini. What are the others? Copilot, all of it. It's allowed, and we are going to be talking about that shortly. I don't know how much time we have. I'll be tracking time. So I want to hear some views on what they think AI is. Can we go in the middle sometimes around here? What is AI? I can see a hand there from the lady studying intellectual property.
Thank you very much. My name is Atsasi Razan in 4th year. It's fortunate that we have already studied intellectual property, so I will base there to differentiate or define artificial intelligence or AI. When we are dealing with intellectual property, we look at the minds or ideas of individuals. But for artificial intelligence, we are not looking at the intelligence of an individual, which is natural, but we are looking at the intelligence which is manufactured or the intelligence which is artificial. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your definition assumes the word they are intellectual. Wait. There's something that is a constant in your definition, which is intelligence. What exactly is intelligence?
Those are ideas.
Uh-huh.
Yes, that's how I can briefly say intelligence.
So everybody who has are there such a thing as a stupid idea?
Pardon?
Is there such a thing as a stupid idea?
Yes.
Do you know what happened? So is it intelligent? Is intelligence the same as idea then?
Depending on how you defend your idea, no matter how stupid or ugly it is, if you can defend it, it will be considered as an intellect.
It will be considered by who?
Because
I'm talking about objective. You know, in the exam, when you're writing the answers, you're very convinced you are writing your best answer, eh? But it's up to the lecturer to see if what you're writing makes sense or not, isn't it? So there's an objective standard, isn't it?
So, or the question of it can be considered as who, I can say it can be considered by the public, because these ideas are
What is the public? We encounter that phrase a lot in law. General members of the public. What is the public?
Public.
Like in defamation, you're entitled to be thought of well by reasonable members of. Yeah, so the society or the public. So what is the public? When we say public interest, what is this thing called the public? What is public?
Public, I can simply define it as any person.
Even one person is a public? No, it's okay. Don't worry. We're just doing a critical thing. Thank you for your contribution. Can we see another definition right here at the front? Artificial intelligence.
Thank you so much. My name is Alan Mhandishi, 4th year, Guild Speaker. The way I can define artificial intelligence, I will first define what intelligence is. Intelligence to me means the capacity to respond to questions and commands. And artificial, we all know that it is the opposite of natural.
Just wait. Just hold it there. There's some two things I'm finding in this faculty. And I would like you to consider what I'm saying very, very much. there is a people are now in the public discourse. There's something we are talking about: objective reality. Okay? That everybody is entitled to your facts. Okay? And say, I think my pastor was saying that everybody has their truth. I'm hearing this notion of according to me, in my own opinion. Can we agree that there are some things that must be objectively defined? Photosynthesis is not according to me. Yeah? Photosynthesis is a scientific process through which plants manufacture their own food. For even if you think it is the same as transpiration. So when we, in fact, to define things is to delineate them from others. You understand? When I say photosynthesis, I'm trying to differentiate that from all the other processes that go with the plant. You understand? So can we agree? When you, I don't know if this will be clear to you. If we talk about a contract, there's an objective definition of a contract. I don't know, you raise issues here. I think when you're writing undergraduate, you raise issues. When you did criminal law, you dealt with ingredients of offenses. It's both an objective and a subjective what? Test. The objective test was there, a theft was then subjective. Do you understand what I mean? So objectively, you must establish whether or not there was a theft, yeah? And for you to win the case, it cannot be according to the judge. If the judge reached the conclusion that there was a theft, contrary to the evidence that was before them, then we are going to find them that they add in what? People in fourth year. This is first, have you done appeals? They add in fact. What do we mean? We are simply saying that the facts or the evidence you have could not entitle you to reach a conclusion that there was a theft. Are you learning, my brother? Okay? So artificial intelligence, I can understand it's emerging, okay? But it cannot be according to me. And I was just going to give you more questions for you to think about the answer. You said, for example, in your definition, somebody who can take commands and instructions. Who gives the dean of students commands and instructions? Supposing you are the boss and you take instructions and commands from no one, does that mean that you are not intelligent?
You are.
So, think about your definition, but continue.
Thank you so much. As I said, intelligence means or is defined as the capacity to respond to commands and questions at hand. And what it differentiates artificial intelligence from natural intelligence is that in artificial intelligence, the commands and questions are answered by a computer. Unlike where in natural intelligence, it is the person, the human, that responds. And on the question of where someone is the boss and the person is responding himself, it is also intelligence because to the questions at hand.
Okay, I understand. What I want you to learn from what I'm saying is this. To define something is to differentiate it from all the other things. So when you read the definition section of a statute, and they say, according to this statute, a motor car is, it means everything that doesn't fit in that is not. In other words, when you define things, you are closing the set, not expanding it. Do you understand what I mean? So you cannot have a definition and say everything is that, then you have not defined, okay? Perhaps let me, before we get into the skills that you need, one of the things you are going to have is clarity and comprehensiveness. Clarity and, that's the objective of communication. Clarity and comprehensiveness. Whatever you say, you must say what you're saying very clearly, yeah? What was that case? Do you guys have how big is your library? But now things are online. A turn is not about a turn. Who has read that book, that case? Anybody recognizes the case? A turn is not about a turn. Let me make it a bit controversial. A man is not a woman. I didn't want to ask the question, what is a woman? We are very intelligent people who can no longer answer that question. But thank you for your contribution. Let's just take one more, then we can move on just understanding artificial. There's a gentleman there who is raising his hand. Let's just take that, and then we can move on.
Thank you very much. My name is Miami Junior. I'm a fourth-year law student at Bsu Law Society University. My definition for AI, I believe it's a set of technologies that enable computers to perform a variety of advanced advanced things. Then, when it comes to intelligence,
when you say things, you're not helping me. Because life is full of non-living and living.
living things.
In other words, everything is a thing.
Okay, maybe I can say it is a set of technologies that enable computers to perform a variety of advanced either solutions, provide advanced, of course, advanced solutions to the current.
If I have a self-driving car, is it AI?
It's not an AI, but
it is solving things. And I think, and I've been in it. I've used the Tesla myself. I like Elon Musk, and it's amazing, self-driving cars and all that. Is that AI? But you have the idea.
You actually gave a good example of Tesla. Yes. The way it is manufactured, I saw one of it. You can use Tesla without a driver. Yes. Most of the cars,
so you have to make it AI. Okay, fine. I think I like a lot of what you are saying. I think what we are generally saying is that it is the independent capacity. Please don't write down. Don't write down. I'll give you a paper. You can find definitions, yeah? And this is a very important thing of what I'm saying. Jasper will speak about this. I was having a chat with him today and say, the first thing is comprehension. You just need to understand things, yeah? Albert Einstein famously said once that if you can't explain it simply enough, you probably don't understand it well enough. If you can't explain it simply enough, you probably don't understand it well enough. So the moment you write things and you find there, however, things, that's not the evidence that you're not understanding it well enough. So when you talk about AI, the simple thing is really getting computers to perform cognitive tasks that are generally done by human brains. Before this era, computers were functioning on a set of commands and were giving pre-programmed results, like a calculator, yeah? If you punch in 1 and you add 1, it should give you 2, 1,001 times. It's programmed. I think that's what they mean by programmed. If we say we are programmed, it means you are within a certain limited range of responses, isn't it? When you're in school, you tend to be, boarding schools, you tend to be programmed like Pavlov's dog. The bell goes off at 6, you wake up at lunch, it happens for 1 week, 2 weeks. Before the bell goes off, you are waking up by yourself, isn't it? In fact, when the bell delays, you might say, especially around lunchtime, you'll be the one telling your friend, I think this bell delayed, the siren delayed. You are programmed. You are within a fixed range of responses. Now, what has happened with AI is that computers can now give themselves commands and perform tasks that are generally performed by human beings in thinking. They can program themselves, they can respond, they can take facts. So in essence, for the first time, you have machines that are already smarter than human beings. We lived in a world where, and this is Bishop Stewart, I don't know, now we are going to, Reverend, you are going to be checking the theology again. And now this is also part of being a lawyer. What I was telling you about critical thinking, we shall talk about that, yeah? You might be right today, the facts can change tomorrow. So theologically, we are saying that human beings are the most intelligent creature, maybe to the extent that they are natural. We are now living in a time where we are no longer going to be the smartest. I think some people think that has already happened. If you like to watch movies, there's a movie called The Matrix. Someone has seen it. There's a very old movie that Jasper and I grew up watching called The Terminator. Sometimes it's very interesting how Hollywood is very prophetic of the future. The movies kind of tend to imitate, reality tends to imitate the movies. It's quite ironic. So that's essentially what we are talking about. And I think the question of the day is, law is generally a cognitive task. You're talking about understanding facts. You're talking about reading statutes. You're talking about reading regulations. You're talking about reading cases. Understanding those facts, applying them to your situation, understanding problems and trying to solve them. That is what we are talking about. The now challenge is you now have very good LLM, not, what is LLM in full? Masters of Law, but what is the whole thing? What is LLB in full? No, that's what it means. What is the Latin phrase? You see, good people, it's important that we understand things. Your clients are going to be asking you these things, isn't it? And, okay, now let me go ahead of myself. Please, I hope we are not running out of time. Are we running out of time? Okay. There's a time when the president went to speak at the United General Assembly in New York, and they told him, Mr. President, you have 5 minutes. So when he took the rostrum, he said, I cannot fly all the way from Uganda to come to New York to speak for 5 minutes. You got me out of my office. And I told Wesige here, when you become a partner, sometimes you charge for your time in hours. And I told him, I gave him what some people's hour rates are. So when I give you my day, it's a huge donation in time. So I am glad you still have the time. So we are now talking about a change of that cognition. Now, what is the basis? I'm just now putting this so that you understand. Who has studied company law? Let me see by show. No, don't worry. There are no right or wrong. Mine is not a lecture. I'm not going to examine. I'm not interested in grades. We are interested in people understanding things. Okay, who has studied criminal law? Mr. Dean, you've seen the students who cut class. And you can see the problem we have. We are going to be dealing with lawyers who have not studied criminal law at all. It's going to be interesting. But anyway, to save our time, crime is constituted of two parts: actus, reus, and... So now, where does mens rea happen? In the mind. So we're talking about self-driving cars. Supposing my phone instructed my car to knock you and it knocked you, where is the criminal liability? Who has the criminal liability? Why? If I parked my car there, supposing someone remote accessed it and caused it to knock you. Supposing I set up a bot. You know what a bot is? Supposing I set up a bot on my Twitter account, which I can do, and I tell it, program it and say, retweet, like the following tweets from so-and-so, assuming they were defamatory, and I have a following of 1 million people. Supposing it did that, whose criminal liability is it? Do you understand what is happening with AI? It is fundamentally upending the very understanding of law. But today we'd like to see how it affects our skills. So I'm just going to take you through the skills that I think a very good lawyer should have, and then we shall be talking about how AI affects it. By the way, there are some very interesting AIs like LexisNexis. There's another one called West something. They can review like tens, thousands of contracts in 2 minutes. In a minute. And how long will it take a human lawyer? So much. So, the question that is asked, there's a book that asks the question, is this the end of lawyers? I think I should find you the author. Help me find the author. Is this the end of lawyers? In other words, those of you who are studying to get a job, are you about to tell your parent that they sold the cows to pay for you for nothing? Because, AIs can read and interpret these contracts in 2 minutes. And it's going to take you many years just to read and understand contracts. Richard Susskind, yes. Richard Susskind. Is this the end of lawyers? Richard Susskind has been writing on this subject for over 20 years. He's just been focused on IT and the law. And he has been asking these questions many, many years. Many people were not listening. I don't know if faculties were listening. Is this the end of lawyers? Do you know that jobs disappear? In Mbara, there are many milkmen, I'm sure. But where I grew up, I have a milkman, then a milkman disappeared. Have you guys ever seen a public payphone? Let me see your hands if you've ever seen a public payphone. Yes, the lady here, don't be shy. That job has simply disappeared, isn't it? Now you're going to have ATMs. How many jobs are jobs? So the question we are asking ourselves in the profession is: AI going to end lawyers? So now I'll be speaking about a skill, and then telling you about what I think AI affects it. Then I'll take a pause. Jasper will address you, and then I'll take questions and we close. Is that a good suggestion? All right. The first skill that I want to talk about, there's a book called The Discipline of Law. Who has seen it? Do you guys have a library? Yes? You know, IT has broken down a lot of barriers, okay? Even to the bigger law schools, you can simply download a lot of these books. I think Wesigate should arrange to come with me, and I give you some of these books, yeah? And you share them on WhatsApp. And I think, let me send you The Discipline of Law. Has someone read that book called The Discipline of Law? Yeah. There's a bit of a challenge. The Discipline of Law, written by Lord Denning. The first thing I'm talking about is the command of language. Because words are a lawyer's tool of trade. All right? Our work is about, the only way we express thought is by words. It's not by formulas, it's not by, that's the first way you're going to express yourself. So a command of in our case, the English language is extremely important. Because all the time, you're going to be doing two things. One, you're going to be reading the words of others or hearing them. I hope nobody is having trouble understanding me. Please feel free to stop me. Yeah, so that I explained to you. I'm the one telling you about communication. It's my job to make sure that I've communicated to you and you have understood. So you simply cannot make it in this profession without having a good command of the language. Because our work is to read statutes, our work is to read cases, and we must understand them. After understanding, and they're not extremely easy to understand, they're not exactly very easy to understand. Because like Lord Denning himself said, words are an imperfect vehicle of communication. Sometimes somebody was saying, I think it is the columnist Daniel Kalinaki, that the reason you must learn the rules well enough so as to break them. I'm not talking about laws. I'm talking about rules of language. Do you understand? Did any person study poetry here? Yes. Poetry doesn't follow the rules of grammar. I think there's that poem in the first lessons of law. I hope you heard it. Introduction to? Yeah. Introduction. Go methods. Introduction to law. The rules of the poet and the rules of the draftsman, yeah? Drafting is not done in English. That's why you can see one provision having 30 words without commas and all of that, yeah? Did you see that? Have you seen it anywhere? Really? Should we take an oath? I hope we are telling each other the truth. Yeah. Contrary to what most people think and say, a lawyer must be ethical. It's never necessary to tell a lie. If you practice law by telling lies, that's just a comment on your personality as a person. There's no need to tell lies. Why? Somebody said you can only have tell the truth. I don't know if I'm phrasing it well, but there's no obligation to say anything, but whenever you must say the truth. Rather than lie, you'd rather keep quiet. Yes. There's no obligation to volunteer information. But equally, there's an obligation not to volunteer false information, because that's misleading and it's actually unethical. So, we are talking about the command of the English language. What I'm doing here. Am I clearly expressing myself? Not to everybody. Or are we just tired? Or should I try again? Should I speak slower? But you get the point is that as a lawyer, a lot of your work is going to involve speaking. I'm happy most people can express themselves, but communication actually is more complicated than you think, like especially when you're communicating to a big number of people. What is more is that as a professional, you're going to find that you're going to be communicating to clients who are not exactly lawyers. Do you understand? This family, they lost their family head, they're in your office to understand something called succession, intestate succession. And here you are telling them, you know, now that the deceased did not leave a will, we are under intestacy. So what are you telling the person? Do you understand what I mean? We've been talking about AI. When I went to school, there was no AI being taught. Now, the scenarios I gave you will come in court. You have a duty to explain that to a judge who does not have as much technical knowledge of the subject as you do. Do you understand? So you now have a big challenge. And doctors do this very well. All of you go to see doctors. The doctors help you explain to you what your condition is. They tell you, you know, you have a hormonal imbalance. Around this time, this is what's going to happen. But do you understand? I do not believe that law is more complicated than medicine. But that's the level of communication we are talking about. Now, how does AI do this? AI writes contract, responds, and all of that. Now, there is, I think, a miscalculation of some people to think that they are going to externalize their own ability to command English to AI. Remember, from the questions I asked you about menswear, the obligation is still human. Do you understand? If you use AI to do your coursework, but it is under your name. So you take personal responsibility for everything that is being what? Produced by that AI. So should it turn out to be wrong, who is wrong? It simply means that what AI has meant is that it has graduated us into examiners of AI. Do you follow what I'm saying? In other words, you are going to put a command, but it still befalls you to check out whether what the AI is giving you back is correctly written. Now, there's something called hallucination. Does somebody know what hallucination is? Not in a medical sense, in sense of AI. You know what hallucination means? These technologies in the form, you'd call them emerging stages. They're still learning, although they have, advanced so far. There's something I think called Chat 4 or Chat GPT-4. GPT-4. It's extremely well advanced, has scored many, upwards of 90s in almost United States by exams. It's very advanced. But still they can hallucinate. By hallucination, it means that it can become creative. It can invent cases. In fact, there's actually a precedent of lawyers, I think, in New York. When I give you the paper, I'll give you the citation of the case, where a lawyer was disbarred in New York because the AI invented a whole case and its own facts and its own. So, I think that what this means is that the AI is calling for more skills, not less skills. Maybe let me get you a bit involved because I see you're beginning to be bored and to sleep. Am I communicating? Let me just hear how everybody has understood me. There's a lady there who looks very tired and bored. Are you all right? Can I see who can summarize for me what I've just said? Mr. Speaker, have you understood the point I have made or have not made any point? You know when you're writing, you believe you are making points, and the lecturer said there's no point here. Let me see. The gentleman there.
Thank you so much. My name is Ian Agawa, and I'm in 4th year. I think what you're trying to say...
I don't try to say things, I say them.
Yeah, you're saying that AI can also hallucinate like facts, like cases. In any case, someone asks them a question. But you are again telling us that in instances where AI hallucinates something, it is my obligation as someone who has examined it to see if the answer that I wanted is the one that has come. And if not, I examine it and say this is wrong, this is right. Thank you.
That's about right. I just want to say it requires you to have more skills, right? It's like taking you to teach a very bright class, right? You now have a very bright respondent called AI. So it is for you to check not just the language, that the law cited is correct and is interpreted correctly. And that offers a huge risk Because if the AI is wrong and everyone depends on it, all people will be wrong. Remember that we are dealing with the question of conscience, human conscience. Okay? If I have robots for soldiers, shall we have international humanitarian law because they don't feel? I think, let me just move on. One of the skills you will need, the skill sets you need as a lawyer to succeed is problem solving. You must be a problem solver. Law is about solving problems. It is very unfortunate that most lawyers, many lawyers can approach things and simply make them worse. A person came to you, they are disagreeing over a small piece of land, and the way you engage with the entire matter leads them up to the Supreme Court. Later they are dead. The land is swept away by the road. Have you solved the problem? Law is not about showing off smarts. It's about problem solving. And in fact, I dare add that the whole of richness in life is about solving problems. My favorite motivational speaker, I was warned about because I hear they're very hated. They're the ones who say that they started a whole chicken farm by what? With a feather. How does that translate in Mbarara with cows? That you started a whole farm with what? With a hoof or with a horn, eh? But anyway, some motivational speakers are actually very useful. And Zig Ziglar says, you will get everything you want in life if you just enable enough people to get what they want. For example, how many problems do you think Mukwano Industries solves every day? It's about problem solving. You understand? If you could solve my problems, the money I give you or I pay you is directly proportionate to the problem you are solving for me, isn't it? Let us assume that you had a heart disease that is probably going to kill you. How much money do you think you would pay a heart surgeon to save your life? Assume you had 1 billion shillings, President Wesige. Would you pay it or not? Or you'd rather die and remain with your money? Do you understand what I mean? So the approach is solve. I want to talk about litigation capabilities. A lot of the work, for those of you who choose to be like me, in litigation, the legal work is by litigation, and that is a whole complex altogether. I wouldn't have enough time to all about it, but basically, just know that litigation will require you to understand the law. It will require you to understand your case, the facts. It will require you to understand the court that you're dealing with. It will also require you to understand the opponent or the opposing counsel that you are dealing with. How does that relate with AI? Pleadings, understanding the cases, right? But I have a question for you. Will AI understand the court you are going to? I've had no and yes. Let's hear both answers. Sorry, I'm waiting to hear from somebody. He said yes, she said no. I want to hear both answers. I have told you that as a lawyer, you're going to do some of your work, if you choose, by litigation. And I've told you that to do litigation, there are 4 things that you need to master. You need to know the law. You need to understand the law, and it's not as simple as that. You need to understand your case, the facts of what exactly happened. You need to know the court before which you are going. Is it the Supreme Court? Is it a village court, LC1? Or now very trending, is it the court martial? Is it the field court martial? Okay? You need to understand your court. I said you need to understand the opponent. There's somebody called the prosecutor, the RSA of Mbarara. That woman, she's quarrelsome. Yeah. That woman, she's very mean. That woman comes late. You know her. So we are trying to see how does AI affect this. We said, well, it will summarize your facts, probably better than you. with the caveat I gave, remains for you to see if it has summarized those. It has elevated you to an examiner. And obviously, the examiner must be superior to the student they are examining. The question I'm asking is, do you think AI will know your client and the court better than you? You said yes. Please go ahead to tell us why.
The reason as to why I said that AI might know your client, the court, and maybe the case more than you, the person, is I'm not talking about this AI that we have here. I'm talking about the advanced AI that has that exists. You yourself, you gave us an example of ChatGPT level 4, the one that thinks beyond a human being. But the beauty about AI is that it works on your instructions. So the reason as to why I said it can understand your code more is that if you give it an instruction, it gets the chance to dig deep on what your code has, maybe the cases it has handled, and gives you that information that you couldn't get just as an individual, and takes like less time to do that. Thank you.
Okay. The question was, will it understand the court and the client better than you? Quickly, let's just hear this lady so I can conclude here.
Thank you very much. On this very point, I will say that the AI will not understand my client and the court and the comments better than me. Why? Because in litigation, when you meet clients, you are able to tell their weaknesses and their strengths. Then you work upon the
What do you mean, weaknesses and strengths? I had the impression that when you meet clients, you are trying to solve their problem. Are you trying to examine them on weaknesses and strengths?
For example, if you physically meet a client, for example, in a case of land dispute, you will have to know whether the person is lying or not. And there are these cases where is lying or not. For example, if a client is saying, someone has encroached on my land, these are the cases where you need to go and see. You might even find someone who is saying, they have encroached on my land, in fact, is the one encroaching on the other one's land, of which I think the AI cannot do.
Let me ask you something. By the way, let me tell you. It is extremely difficult for human beings to detect lies. But you have a forensic auditor here, he will come and tell you. Have you ever heard of something called a lie detector? What are its success rates? Do you trust a lie detector or human beings? There are people who have studied on other people's documents. They work and they retire and no one has ever detected. So I don't know about that. But I see what you mean. Maybe let me put, thank you, Nyabo. Let me put, and thank you so much for your willingness to share your ideas. That's very good. By the way, we live in a world, if you want to keep ideas to yourself, you will not succeed. School, there's miseducation in school. You will succeed more by collaboration. By the way, when you talked about success, I want to say this, now that Jasper is here. Jasper and I have been friends since 2004. Who studies, is there something called health and the law here? Is there a subject called health and the law? Well, the World Bank at least defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, social, and economic well-being. I'm just going back to that thing called success. Yeah? Success also has a social element, isn't it? It does not help you to be the most successful lawyer by winning cases when you are hated by everybody. Do you understand? If you cheat everybody, you abuse everybody. So keeping friends and volunteer their time to talk to students is extremely important. You will not make it if you cannot keep relationships. I can give you a free business tip. All businesses, the greatest source of business in the world is repeat business. Is what? Repeat business. So if you have a shop, if the person buys and doesn't come back, you cannot be selling unless you have a kiosk like at Sanga, where you sell passers-by. You can even sell them rotten goat and chicken because they're not going to what? To come back. But if you have a chambers, people will know that you are the guy who cheated them. Now, they will not only will they remember that, they will also tell everybody else. So that I just wanted to add I hope I've demonstrated that. Now, meanwhile, Ben, I need to tell you that success is contextual. I'm not a very comfortable, you people living here saying that we talked to a very successful lawyer. There's a Greek historian called Herodotus who said, you cannot judge a person's success until they die. Usually it's when a career is over that you are able to say whether they are successful or not. But I can understand from your student perspective, you must see that I have some modicum of achievements here and there, but I'm still in the career. Hopefully when you encounter me many years ago, you'll still keep the same impression. That I don't want to be like my poor club Man U, that once you are up, now you're down. So there are aspects of the law that are still, at least for now, human. One, understanding the cultural context. The culture what? Context. And that talks about some other skills that lawyers don't emphasize. Social science. Again, if you paid attention to your introduction to law. Law is both a science and an art. Why we call it a science is that it is also social science. You must understand the sociology, the society you are dealing with. Let us say you are what do they call them? Advocate what? The guy in the general court martial? Judge advocate. And you are dealing in your field of court martial is sitting in Karamoja. You must be able to understand the society under which you are dealing with. If I'm in Barara, I'm dealing with a case from Kazo, I should be able to contextualize it. If it is from Bunyaruguru, I should have the historical, the societal understanding of the society in which I am working. That is still human, all right? Maybe AI will get there, but that is you. In terms of mood, as you're speaking to the judge, you get feedback. You can see the judge is not happy with what you are saying or not impressed. That is still a human determination, all right? Or your lecturer. People want to, you see what the lecturer expects, what they are going to get. That is still human. Okay, I'd like to close on 2 points, which is societal responsibility. Why they call lawyers learned friends? People like to be... I want to tell you that I'm not a big fan of lawyer exceptionalism. Lawyers feel, I've never understood this whole thing of thinking they are too special, they are, a little humility helps. When I went to, the time we went to university, there used to be these things called government scholarships, and they used to be given to the best. So when you go to it's like a collection of the best of the best. Now remember what I told you about a rich society. It is an anomaly to say you want to have advantage over others because they are poor, yeah? People in pharmacy school, in medical school, in engineering, in economics, I do not myself see anything that is special about lawyers other than those. You understand what I mean? That is my view. So it's a good thing if lawyers drop their chip on the shoulder, yeah? You know, a chip on the shoulder, this feeling that you are more special than others, I myself don't understand it exactly, yeah? Assuming you went to the bank, would you like it if some other people skip the line just because they think they are from a superior profession? So I'm talking about societal responsibility. So why we are learned friends is that you must understand the context in which you are working. Do you understand what I mean? There's a paper I would like to recommend to you. It's written by my friend and a lecturer in Makerere, Dr. Bsu Kabumba. Black Laws Matter. Have you seen it? Black Laws Matter. Okay? We are talking about ideas like the rule of law. We are talking about ideas like women emancipation and women rights. We are talking about children's rights. You understand? Ultimately, law is not just about the law and procedure. It is about how it is a tool for social change. You've heard people saying, for example, not everything legal is legitimate. Apartheid was perfectly legal, but was it legitimate? Do you understand what I mean? You are, just and I we agreed that we shall give you this example. You are a lawyer, you are a judge. They are trying to build a road, including a bridge. But this society is objecting to the passing of the road because it goes through their traditional tree on which they have been worshipping for 50 years. Now there's a new concept. I don't know if it will be too much now that we have President Trump in the US. Something called economic social governance. Has anyone heard of it? ESG? Rather, environmental and social governance. Okay? Do you remember that concept in, because you told by the law is not static. Education is just learning how to think. Do you understand? This is not a teaching of history. The Bachezi migrated. Somebody was saying, by the way, why did we get stuck here? If we had continued, we would have reached the US. Do you understand what I mean? The law is very dynamic. When Jasper and I left law school in 2008. Some of you were you born? In 2008. How many years are those? Coming to now about, if you take your math, we are talking about what? Somewhere between, no, 20, about 16, 2018 plus, about 17 years when we left. How many laws have Parliament promulgated every single year? The Constitution itself has even since been amended. When we went to law school, we were told you cannot apply to be amicus. Now you can apply to be amicus. At that time, there were not, the East African Court of Justice is not there. So what I'm saying, that's why you see that first engagement we have. If there's something I want to leave here, I thought there would be 500 people, but maybe they are in if there's something I want to leave here, is that it's not about cramming. You understand? I really wish that people understand. I'm on Twitter, and it's a good window to see that we have a big comprehension problem, in Uganda. Seek to understand before you seek to be understood. Seek to understand. Have you understood what you are dealing with? So, the point I'm making is that law is not about grammar. It's very dynamic. If you looked at the laws in the colonial times, those laws were designed as a function of the colonial state. Do you understand? Order in council. You set up the Buganda court. You're talking about cases like Mukwaba and Mukubira. You've read those cases. Okay? Post-colonial times, you are looking at neo-colonialism. People have something called the received laws. They are being told that the language of court is what? Is English. Even Mr. Wesige here, the magistrate is Msime, the accused person is Mhwezi, the prosecutor is Mchisha, but they reach court and they say, by the way, do you have an interpreter? Every court speaks and understands Runyankore Ruchiga, but the colonialism in such that the language of court is what? Is English. So as a lawyer, we expect you to be socially conscious. We expect you to be interested in knowing the forest cover of the country. Okay? When somebody comes and says, by the way, this land has laid idle, what do you mean idle? If I furrow my land, especially people who come from pastoral communities. For me, if I leave, they call it furrowing. Well, if I leave a paddock not to, is it idle? Have you understood what I'm saying? There's a cultural interpretation of the law. Using land does not mean building it. I'm perfectly using my land if I leave it as natural gardens, isn't am I not? So it's the text of the law. Let me go back to the example of the road. So Mr. Magistrate or Judge, and this is something that really got the president pretty angry, and on this one I agree with him. Somebody gives an injunction stopping the construction of an entire road. First and foremost, that road is built on money that has been borrowed. When you borrow money, don't you pay interest? So you are paying interest without the road being built. What happens to the cost of construction with time? You should look at what happened to construction costs in COVID. There was a time when cement was about 45,000 or something like that. Okay? So we expect every lawyer to have the presence of mind. People who like football, if you're a very good midfielder, we say that you have a good positional awareness. You understand? The ball comes to you in the 6-yard box, you should understand that I should kick this ball out. You understand? If you control it, then you are trying to dribble, we say that you play for Arsenal. I'm just joking, please. Yeah? But you get the point I mean? Do you understand? Do you understand what I mean? So a lawyer, that's what we call the social consciousness. When we grew up at the time of apartheid, Jasper and I. So South Africa was, we got introduced to South African music. So we grew up with all of this Sarafina, Lucky Dube, and all that. That is called consciousness. I tend to like reggae music. They call it conscious music. Not just dancing, but think about it. And the joke is that, and it's a big problem, if you study the Congo, our brothers there love to dance a lot. I don't know, because we don't understand the lyrics. I wonder how much of their music is conscious. Let me ask, like, my pastors, am I speaking to someone? Yeah? Yes. So a lawyer must have societal consciousness. How is your law? You are busy. Bijambia have become, do you know Bijambia? Pangas, eh? Okay? But you are the lawyer who is saying that for you are very good at asking and obtaining for bail for everybody, especially by bribery. Is your society becoming better? Yeah? Is your society becoming... People think that the object of criminal law is to protect the accused person. That's a complete ideological misorientation. The purpose of criminal law is to keep the society safe while safeguarding, making sure that that system only convicts those deserve to be convicted. So you don't simply say, because what a tragedy it would be for you to successfully argue 5 bail applications for a guy and then they go and slash your own mother. What a loss it would be. Do you understand what I'm saying? Generally speaking, if you are arguing an election petition, what is the most important consideration we are doing in that election petition? Is to promote the true will of the people. It is not your role to make sure that you nullify the role of the what? Of the people. Do you understand what I mean? After all, I hope you understood, and I don't know if now we're talking about ethics as I conclude to invite Jasper. The role of the lawyer is not to win. Did you ever know that? What is the duty of the lawyer? What is the case? Give me an authority. Now, let me be technical to your teachers. It's a law-dealing decision. What is your leading authority on the role of a lawyer? Now, a lawyer must also be, the reason, people like to be called being learned. Learned takes interest and effort. You must read a lot of things and know a lot of things. By the way, Jasper here, I was telling him, and I want to pay him a public compliment. He's one of those people who are truly learned. I had the opportunity of working with my first boss, Justice Oscar Chick, and I've written before that he's a complete polymath. You know what a polymath is? He's a person who is knowledgeable and skilled in many things. Another publicly known polymath is a guy called Dr. James Pius Entongo. You know him? Draws cartoons, he sings, he's a philosopher. What else does he do? He's a writer. Yeah? That's what we meant by a lawyer being learned. There will be a question of flights, and they're talking about flight times. You must understand that at a certain point, Uganda is 3 hours ahead of the UK. At a certain point, it is 2. You must understand what inflation is. You must take an interest in knowing there. So that when somebody says, no, my lord, the rate, the interest rate given should take into account inflation. But for you don't know what inflation is. Do you understand what I mean? Justice Chika is interested in a lot in astronomy. He's a musician. He plays golf. So, I do not know if just being in a place reading will make you a very, very, very good lawyer. Because cases about substance, isn't it? An operation gone wrong, medical claim, Bolem Hospital, injury without impact, isn't it? Now you're dealing. If you are going to get to nail a doctor for doing an operation wrong, what is the first thing you are going to do? You must have to understand how an operation goes right. Do you understand? So have you seen how you have studied medicine? Let's talk to your defense counsel in a murder by shooting. Have you understood what the issues are going to be? What is the expertise you're going to be dealing with? Ballistics, isn't it? The shot was by the revolver, the velocity was such and such. Did you see Uganda versus Kanyamunyu? What was the determining factor in that decision? Did you see Uganda versus Nsenga? What happened to the car? What was the defense saying about the car and how the car generally behaves? Do you follow what I'm saying? I do a lot of banking cases. You must be able to read the loan application and the loan amortization. Do you understand? If you are saying that the interest was unconscionable, based on what? And another very remarkable judge, actually a genius, a once in a lifetime judge, is Justice Mubiru. He will ask you very serious questions. Counsel, what was the amount payable as of that date? Then you start telling the judge, my lord, me, I'm not a mathematician. But outside you insist everybody in your village should call you a learned what? What kind of learned friend can't read an loan amortization, frankly? What kind of judge? You're talking about intellectual property. You're supposed to tell me how Reham Cola passes off Coca-Cola. What is the difference? Is it in the get-up? Is it in the overall impression? It confuses who? Right-thinking members of society. Has actually there been confusion? What is confusion, by the way? When you say I'm confused, what do you mean? What does it mean when you say you are confused? Excuse me. When you say it causes confusion, what is confusion? It is taking one thing for another. Taking one thing, thinking it to be another. Let me ask you some other thing. Who can tell me what is a fact? You told me you summarize issues here and facts. What is a fact? What is a fact? Yes, I'm going to close by talking to you guys about professional attitudes as a skill that you will need. What is a fact? The gentleman here, I'd like to hear his views. What is a fact?
Thank you, sir. The name does not change. This is Ivan Benomich.
It could change. Have you ever heard of a deed poll?
But for my case, I remain Ivan Benomich.
Yeah.
So if I may define a fact, synonymously, I may say it is a reality.
It's a reality.
Right.
So you think opinions are not real? Because I'm distinguishing a fact from an opinion, and you're saying it's a reality. It could be my very real opinion. It's not virtual.
It is real.
What is, yes. Remember what we said about definitions, yeah? To define something is to differentiate it from something else. Yes. So, for example, we want to say that a fact is that which can be subjected to a false or correct test. You understand? If this paper is white, we can subject that to a false or correct test. So it is a fact whether I attended class on Wednesday or not, because it is verifiable. But whether I'm a good person is a question of opinion.
Of his mouth was coursework. He went on the board and just wrote a big word, coursework. And then he dictated and he said, you're going to go to the library. You're going to look for this law case, Khalil versus Carbolic Smokeball Company. You're going to read it, and you are going to answer the following questions. He wrote about 3 questions, and we are supposed to write a coursework paper of about 5-10 pages. So John and I, with a couple of other friends, ran to the library, and we get the All England law books, All England law reports. And we pick it, and I think Khalil versus Carbolic Smokeball Company was about 160 pages, give or take. We had 1 month to prepare our coursework paper. But the library took copies of that. And we had day class and evening class. And day class had about 50, 60, 70 people. Evening class had about 150. Unknown to us, he went to the evening class and said exactly the same thing. So we went to the library, we sat down, and we got that book, and we were
holding it and we said we must read every word in that book. And we read the entire judgment, our papers, and, well, for the ignorant people that we passed. Fast forward, in 2013, I go to do my master's. And they would give us reading lists. A reading list would have maybe about 7 books. Each they're telling you read maybe 3 or 4 chapters, then 4 papers, then maybe 10 bibliographies, and then all that has to be read in a space of 2 days. Because in the UK, when you enter the class, the lecturer simply asks questions. He does not dictate or go back to revise the notes that he had given you to read before. And therefore, if you have not read it, you're going to be a failure. And in 2013, I encountered artificial intelligence for the first time. Because the African me, who was studying in the UK for the first time, did not realize that the students in that place had already encountered artificial intelligence. And they had encountered it as far back as 2008, 2006. Now, they would get all these documents because the libraries are online and just throw it into a specific artificial intelligence and it will summarize everything they need and have all the questions that they need summarized in a very simple 2-page document which they can read on their way to, on the train on their way to class. Poor Jasper and a certain gentleman called Paul Mbuga, he's now a partner at SNL, what these guys were doing and how they were doing it and being able to be very efficient in class. For once, I thought being black was stupid because these guys knew what they were doing. Now, if I had AI in first year, I think I'd have been a different lawyer, but I don't think I would be this lawyer. Because my understanding of Khalil versus Alcoholic Smoke Ball Company, even if you woke me up today, is better than any of you who read the summary version of the decision. There was a paper we did with John, and we answered the entire using only Khalil versus Kaboli contract law. I remember that, and I was just like, wow. And funnily, when we got into company law, the same case applied. Fast forward. Last year, that's 2024, I was doing an engagement for the government of confirming the identities of all public servants in government. So we went and we did of every person who is employed by government. And the clever person in me said, we're going to go, and when we are counting these people to make sure we meet the right person, we're going to take their photos, we're going to get their national ID numbers, we're going to do all that information gathering. And guess what we were creating? Data, information. And it was last year that I learned of a philosophy, a study called Big Data Science. So we collect all this data, both soft copy, hard copy, and whatever, and we have it on our computers. And the question comes, what are we going to do with this data? I am dealing with 5 interfaces. I hope we know what interface is. I'm dealing with the data I have created. I'm dealing with information from National Identification Registration Authority. I'm dealing with information from the Public Service Commission, the Judicial Service Commission, the local government, the local whatever government service commission. All that information is in one computer. Now the question was, how do I find a ghost among the public servants? The second question was, how do I find that person who is teaching or working in multiple places and being paid big amounts of money by government to do the same thing in different places? Because that is against the law. And that's when we decided to employ artificial intelligence in that work that we were doing. So what do we do with the artificial intelligence? We push in a code and we say, go and map images we have taken with the images in national identification, national ID registration NIRA, and try and identify everybody and make sure that the person who appears on the national ID is the person whose picture we took. Then we encountered one problem. Many of you got your IDs 10 years ago or 15 years ago or even 5 years ago. Now, you could have gotten it 5 years ago. You met a beautiful lady, you grew fat, and you changed. Your physical appearance changed. Now, we ran a script on the AI, and we asked it the best way to identify changes in the human body towards identifying and making sure that the person who appears in the national ID. And the AI threw out a formula which told us that we can use your eyes. And the distance between your eyes surprisingly never changes all your life. And then there is a unique identifier within your eyes which is unique to each and every one. And surprisingly, each of your eyes has got its own marker. So we run all this data through this artificial intelligence, and that's how we identify a person who used a different person's qualifications, used different papers, used different information to actually get jobs. That's how we were able to find people who were employed in more than one place. That's how we are able to find people actually they somehow managed to create national IDs and got jobs and all that. Fast forward, I know, this one, I'm not going to give you this example. We are now dealing with, the country at the moment is indebted to lenders out of this country in the region of maybe more than $6-7 billion, give or take, all right? And every single one of those transactions has got a sackload of agreements which have got to be reviewed. Now, my brother John, he works for the lender. And as you've heard, he's extremely intelligent, extremely knowledgeable, and extremely, extremely good at what he does. So they design contracts. And a contract will be an average of maybe 2 of these is one contract, which we have got to review the auditors of government to ensure that government is not selling you away by entering contracts that don't have value or don't add, or they're entering contracts that are not justifiable good to you. Now, when I joined the Office of the Auditor General, the first thing we would do is in January, we would start reading contracts. And it would take me a week to go through one contract. And we have about 300, 400, and every year we are entering about 5 or 6 contracts. So every day I'm burning the midnight candle reading these contracts. And this brother of mine, as clever he is, one time I'm there, I'm so stressed, I've been reading a contract, I don't really understand. He says, there's this AI tool which can actually summarize the entire contract for you. Because most of the contracts were specially designed for that. So we simplified analysis of documents, analysis of information using artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is a science. and it's developing and it keeps developing. We are just trying to figure out how to make computers think like and be better than human beings. But while we are doing that, we are also setting in motion different things that are going to challenge the very existence of human beings and humankind. And just in 2020, I told the government I needed 20 lawyers to work under the directorate that I work in and to come directly under my supervision. Right now, I have artificial intelligence which can do the work of 20 lawyers. Do I still need the lawyers? Do I still want to work with the lawyers when I can sit on my computer and just get it done in a matter of minutes? Is yes, I still need the lawyers. John has been taking you through those different concepts of what the lawyer should do. But I want to interest you in something else. As a lawyer, the word learned means that you can adopt. Adapt, you can change, you can evolve, and you can be better. The skills you're learning right now from these brilliant lawyers and teachers is not for you to go and regurgitate what you've learned. It's for you to apply what you've learned in a different field and give yourself better value in that field. When I joined the Office of the Auditor General, we were 2 lawyers. There was one who was a legal officer, and then there was me, who was brought to set up the fraud and forensics unit because at the time, we were having so many issues of the emergence of big, high-level fraud. That's where we are having the OPM, the Kazindas, we are having the public service, the obeys, we are having the NSSFs, we are having all those frauds were beginning to take place and they were ripening every day. And the question was, can we address the concerns of the public? Because you're not interested in any story. You're interested in seeing that people who you've given responsibility do that responsibility in a way that accounts to you. So the question we have, we identify fraud, and can we report it in a way that will ensure that these people are not only prosecuted, but measures are also put in place to ensure that people do not commit fraud again. Now, inadvertently, we were creating a new science for the lawyers to exploit. Before 2013 or 2012, fraud examination and auditing and investigations were not very well developed in Uganda as they were in other countries. And it has started evolving to an extent that last year, I think a set of lawyers were hired to help with the Bank of Uganda investigation when the money was stolen, alongside other IT people. And there were so many things that are changing. We are beginning to change the dynamic of how we can practice law. So that drives me of what does it mean to succeed. I can assure you of one thing. John and I, when we left law school, with certainty we did not know what we wanted or where we wanted to be. We only knew one thing. We did not want to be where we were. Now, how do you get ahead of yourself if you cannot be better than what you were? If every day you're repeating the mistakes you made last time or last night, the likelihood is tomorrow you're going to make that same mistake and you're not going to go far. Fun fact, not all of you will succeed in the true definition of success, which is he drives a car, he has a house, he has kids, he has a big mansion, he has a law firm, he has this. Not all of you will succeed. The ones of you who are going to succeed are going to only succeed because of the decisions you make today, tomorrow, and every day of your life. There is no two ways about it. You can cheat your way to the top. The system has a way of correcting itself. Time, go and read a book by a certain lawyer who died so many years ago called Clarence Darrow. He writes about crime, its causes and treatments, and he talks about the corrective measures of our humanity and our existence. So, first things first, not all of you will succeed within the definition of the word success. Second thing, when John was speaking, he asked you whether you write down your goals, whether you're able to manifest your ambitions and your dreams. And some few of you put up your hands. Success is about defining what success is to you. No one else can define success for you. If you look at John today and you say, I want to be like John, what happens if in 1 year you're like John and you have another 95 years to be alive? What would your success look like? Your success might be, I want to work in a big 5 law firm in Kampala. Okay, you're going to go to Kampala. You go and work in Denton's, Kampala, biggest law firm in the world. That's a fact, by the way. You go and work in that law firm, and yes, now what? You've entered there, and the work hits you, and you don't understand what's going on. So what is success to you? When we were younger, we looked at success. Unlike John, who, by the way, is the closest person I have as a friend and a brother, we had a definition of success which changed, which we adopted very early. Success was achieving an equilibrium in life, where your social relationships, your economic achievements, and your spiritual well-being are aligned in such a way that you do not make decisions that you regret. A human being is intertwined in 3. There is the spiritual part, which you're blessed to have. There is the economic side, because you need the money to give offertory and also to give your tithe. And then there's the social one, the people. Make the relevant connections and relations within this class and outside class and this society, which will help you go beyond the basic ideas of life. The number of transactions we do in the legal world depends purely on the people who can help you make that transaction. You're going to go, and our system is adversarial, but in the adversarial system, 90% of the time you're going to encounter someone you have gone to school with, you've worked with in a certain condition, and you're going to have to work with them. So we cannot afford to invest emotions in our work. There are times when we sit with John and we say, okay, there's this dispute, how do we solve it? And we solve it without the litigants, but at the end of the day, as we help ourselves as well. So, yes, in adversarial systems, there are other mechanisms of resolving matters. Now, I am an avid scholar in the AI world, but I know for a fact that the lawyers, accountants, professionals in general have argued against the disruptive nature of artificial intelligence. Now, in order for you to understand how disruptive artificial intelligence is, I'm just going to ask 3 questions. All you have to do is raise your hand. Don't say anything, raise your hand. By show of hands, how many of you this week have read a book? A book. Keep your hands up. Straight up. Don't be shy. Imagine God is coming and is putting, what was that food called? I don't want to say it because, yes. Now, how many of you whose hands are up have read a book which is not a law book this week? Minus the Bible. Minus the Bible. Okay. How many of you can put your hands down, sorry. How many of you have acquired a new skill in the 4 years that you've been in this university? Okay, wonderful. If I may ask, outside the legal field, where we're talking of arguing, litigation, and all that kind of stuff, arbitration, blah, blah, blah. Let's say cooking. How many have learned a skill of cooking? How many of you can fix a bicycle in case it gets spoiled? How many of you can fix a chair in case it gets spoiled? How many of you can fix an electric bulb in case it blows up? What I'm driving at is the very notion of artificial intelligence is continued learning. The more we give artificial intelligence tools, the more it learns. So if you don't invest in learning, there is no way in God's green earth you are ever going to defeat artificial intelligence. And indeed, as that book said, the Susskind book, you are going to be kicked out of legal practice. There's a concept I learned last year and I had to read about it. It's called big data. I did not know that big data was something that was novel and it was being developed. And I was talking to Professor Ruhweza in Makerere University, and I told him, you know, the challenge I'm having is you're giving me students from the university who are not abreast with changes in the current world. If I gave you an assignment as a lawyer and I said, we have 1,000 pensioners who retired in 1972. They are here and they need to be paid money. They were not paid from 1972 to today. We have those people from the East African community, all those people who retired. Something, you can think it's a very simple question, but someone will tell you in 1977 there was a currency change, then there was a devaluation, then a revaluation, then there's so many things that have happened, and all that is data. One individual can generate over 10 terabytes of data in a day. Imagine analyzing it for 1,000 people and making that make sense. Now you imagine, I've always been telling John to go on the bench and become a judge. Very soon I'll succeed. Imagine you appear in front of him and you have to argue a matter about big data. What would that look like? Would you be able to handle it? I mean, so we have to keep learning. And the only way you're going to learn as a lawyer is you have to get interested in what is happening. Recently, people were talking about Donald Trump, talking about tariffs. And from an international law perspective, I would have expected all of you to be very interested in that. What does that mean? Okay? Last year, I got on a plane against John's wishes, went to Somalia. While we were flying over there, while we were flying over the water, there was a boat with Islamic terrorists who mounted a mortar and they were aiming at the plane to shoot it down. And the concept of international waters came into play. And the question was, could an Italian boat coming off the Somalia coastline go and attack that boat and destroy it to avoid it affecting planes? Now, in the news, there was the article came out that there was the kill mortar trying to shoot a plane. But the question a lawyer would have been interested in was, what were the legal consequences there? So that takes me to the question of understanding that the law is wide. What law school in the university here is teaching you is the fundamentals of law. But when you get out of here, you're going to go into arbitration. You're going to go into law. You're going to go into construction law. All those kinds of law exist. one thing you have to remember is that if you want to beat artificial intelligence with time, you're going to have to develop a specialty that is unique to you, and you can invest time in learning and growing with it. All right? Now, I tend to think, there was a story, there's a book John gifted me 3 years ago. He forgot about it. But we both read it. And then we're discussing the issue today, and we tended to come to the same example, defining success. And the book talks of two identical individuals. One of them was a very big band, and one time he comes to play, and the band, you know what? You're no longer our member, go away. He left. He was very depressed. Life had turned against him. He did not know what to make of his life. He went out and started drumming, and he met a beautiful woman. They got married. They had kids. He was drumming. He was making a decent living. And then 10 years later, they meet with this drumming guy, this other group, and they look at him, and he's extremely happy. He's extremely satisfied and content. And these guys are like, wait a minute. We kicked you out. We became better than you. We were the best in the world. We toured the world. We traveled everywhere on earth. And we were better than you. What does that, why are you happier than us? The second man was kicked out of a band as well. He was a guitarist. He went away and he was very unhappy. He was grumpy. He was very sad. He's like, I'm never going to forgive these guys. As a matter of fact, I'm going to form a band and it will be better than this band ever. And he did everything. He worked more records than this band, and he was a brilliant player. But yes, individually he couldn't do better, but as an individual, he did it better than him. But he was unhappy until the day he died. His measure of success was beating the band, defeating the band. The other guy's measure of success was his personal happiness and his personal achievements. You're all going to succeed. You're going to graduate from here, God willing. You're going to go out into the world. You're going to do LDC. Some of you might pass. Some of you will get retake. Some of you will. Those are facts of life, by the way. Some of you will fail to do LDC. Some of you will never succeed in LDC. You might not even do your law degree. You may never practice law. Some of you. But it's a question of how you determine what follows. When we joined LDC, there were people who came from other universities. We came from Makerere, where the lecturers had vowed not to give us first classes. So the best you could get was a second upper, unless if you are exceptional. So we come, and there are people from this university, and they have first classes. I can give you 3 of the people did not ever finish LDC. But I can guarantee you they're all successful right now. So there is no one path to success. They're going to be varied. You just have to be ready to get up and move on. Don't imagine that if you have not been a lawyer, life should end. No, it will not end. You will still have your miserable life to go to if you choose to stay down. Now, the path to success is going to vary. When you join a law firm, personal experience, the first 3-4 years are going to be terrible. You're going to, I think Bills will tell you, I think now I've remembered where I met Bills from. You're going to first earn very little money, be disrespected, someone will tell you to carry their bag and take them to court. All those kinds of things will happen. Okay? But if you persevere, John persevered, I got tired. John persevered, and he is what some of you might call successful because he's a partner in a law firm. But maybe that's not his definition of success. But there's a perseverance. Now, there are those in our class, because me and John in a law firm, there are those in our class who went direct to government or direct to corporate bodies and started earning 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. By the way, that was a lot of money those days. You guys are just rich now. Us were broke then. Anyway, in quite a lot of money, and we were certain that they were better. If we had measured our success by their achievements, because you're going to finish law school. Okay, some of you reach your when we would buy one pair of shoes and walk and all that kind of stuff. Time balancing. If you get in and you put in the work, you read, you focus, you will eventually reach a level where they are looking for you to give you work. And you're not looking for work. So, not imagine that there is one size fits all in the legal world of success. But don't also imagine that there is one formula to success in the legal world. Don't ever think you're too far away from succeeding. You never know where it will be. Just like artificial intelligence, if your ethics are rotten, eventually life will catch up with you. And the priests and the pastors will not be happy with you. They will send your soul to hell if they have the opportunity to. Actually, you will take yourself. They will just try to save you. All right? Lastly, the legal world is cutthroat. But you're stronger than that, I can imagine. Just make sure you do not fall. I think this thing is chasing me away. Us who did not understand the legal world when we started. I'll give you my last shot on how you can help yourself in a world where we have disruptive technology. You know, artificial intelligence is one of the many disruptive technologies. If you've heard of bitcoins, the currencies and all that, there's so much disruptive technology right now that when you get out, we're not sure how far it will be. When we joined law school, there was no WhatsApp. When we finished law school, it wasn't there. When LDC, it showed up, we began catching up. Then somewhere there, Snapchat came. We didn't understand what that was. So take time and develop technological literacy and embrace legal technological tools. You're not going to go any further if you don't get as much at that. Cultivate hybrid skills, that's what I was talking about, which combines your legal skills with emotional intelligence and adaptability. John talked about emotional intelligence, not very directly, but you must have emotional intelligence. When you're dealing with a priest or a pastor who is opposed to his church being broken down for a road to pass through, do not treat it as a business day where you're following the law as it is. Remember that for him, it has a deeper meaning than just a building. When you're dealing with an old lady who has buried her husband on a piece of land, don't imagine that the sentiment of the law says that we can do this is automatic. So there is a lot of emotional intelligence that you need to embrace in order to bring it, but you need when you go abroad, in order for you to do a law degree, you must have done a different degree, and the law is an additional degree which supports this kind of skill. So try and embrace skills that can help you get better at what you want to do. Specialize in areas that require human judgment and creativity. You cannot do any better than being a specialist in something. I can tell you without the fear of contradiction or fear of anyone holding me wrong, that in my view, which John said not to, John is probably one of the best litigation lawyers in this country. But I can guarantee you, he's definitely not a good lawyer when it comes to public law. And that is where our synergies work, because I can help him be better at that, and he has accepted that, and we learn from each other. If I go into the courtroom setting, if I have a problem, today we're asking ourselves, if you had a life and death situation, and you could replicate yourself in 2+1, would you hire yourself as a lawyer to represent yourself in court? Ask yourself that question. The next one is, we need, as disruptive technology comes, we need to look for ethical, responsible use of this disruptive technology. The artificial intelligence, let us be ethical about it. In 2013, as I was doing my master's, people would write papers, and those papers they would use artificial intelligence. And they were passing, they were excelling, because this technology is very brilliant. But then a student sat down and said, wait a minute, it's not fair. So he wrote code and developed another artificial intelligence which identifies the artificial intelligence in scripts. So right now, when you write a paper, if, for instance, I asked you to write a paper to me on a different topic, I will get your paper, and without threatening, I will put it on that AI. And if I do find artificial intelligence in my world, plagiarism, we don't meet. So just look at it from the perspective that if you're ethical in the use of AI, it will help you. Okay? And lastly, you need to stay updated on legal technological developments, especially through continuous learning. Every day there is something new. Recently I heard of a case in the US which was being decided which was being argued by a robot. Of course, that robot would be equipped with AI. In 2016, the first accident occurred where a self-drive vehicle committed the offense of murder. And the legal world had to ask the question that John was talking about, where is the mens rea? Who is culpable? The problem is the car killed the owner. So there was a huge debate about, should we bring this dead man to answer the case or not? So keep learning, keep growing, and get married young. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much for that wonderful session, for the knowledge and for the knowledge that you have impacted in us, and the directions that people can now think and see where they're supposed. They can now think clearly and know what AI is all about. Not generally what it's all about, but where the law stands with it. And it was a very, very intriguing moment that, like our guest speaker said, that brings about critical thinking and analyzing where we stand. So thank you for that session. Allow me to for the interest of time, to give chance to the students to ask one or two questions to the speakers for where you need clarity or you haven't understood. But let's keep in mind that time is not our friend. So if anyone has a question, we'll take about 2 or 3. Does anyone have a question?
Thank you very much, our bravo presenters and the entire students fraternity. My name is Aruna Inomusha. My question is about the fact that most of the students, they are utilizing AI at the level of, handling courseworks, they have been asked to submit some work, so they directly do plagiarism. As the academia who has experienced lawyers, and this goes specifically to Counsel John, are you not concerned that you have come in at this level where you are only telling the students that they should actually try to utilize AI, then know how they can apply it when they are practicing law, but you have not dealt with that very important element where they are utilizing AI only to just work on courseworks? Are you not worried? Because as the American philosopher Alvin Toffler wrote in his book Future Shock, the illiterates of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn and learn and learn. And I want to assure you, it is a very big challenge. I think you need to shed more light. How best can we utilize that AI beyond courseworks?
We'll take one more and call it a day.
Thank you very much, our facilitators of today. You have given us so much to think about for the time. When you began your speech, our dear guest, you hinted at a very big, wide point. How do you build your own career? You did not say, how do you build your own legal career? I felt that beyond having a law degree, some of us are put in this very small box. It is from here to LDC to the courtrooms. But we feel that there is more to law than that. So perhaps I was expecting to hear more about the world with a law degree and what you can do with that outside the courtroom, and perhaps how we can, because perhaps I will dissent with your comrade here about the failure, but I do believe we can all succeed, just in different ways. So how do we use this?
Let's keep it brief.
Yes, so how do you use this law degree and our legal knowledge outside, beyond the courtroom, etc.? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me first deal with the one of plagiarism. Now, remember my speech, I told you about a Socratic approach, and Jasper was using the same. At this level, we don't tell you answers. We simply give you things to think. I think we follow God in that respect. Reverend will agree with us, yeah? God leaves you with a free will, isn't it? He doesn't force you to go to church on Sunday. He only tells you can rest on the Sabbath, whichever day you consider to be the Sabbath. Okay? So I do not exactly intend to be prescriptive, but I talked about ethics. Now, when I was talking to Jasper as we came here, we were talking about wisdom and understanding. Those two things are separate. You must understand things. What is the purpose of a coursework? And why do you do a coursework? Do you do a coursework to get 90? The coursework is a tool to test whether you have understood the material, isn't it? The moment you approach it as marks gathering, then you will legitimize in your mind cheating, for example. So why do you plagiarize? The whole course, and I think you need to have read Introduction to Legal Methods, yeah? You are trying to train your own writing skills. Think about it like cheating in a training to be a soldier, yeah? If you cheat and you are not ready by the time you get to battle, what will happen? You're going to be killed there. I keep giving the example. It's like cheating in a boxing context. Do you know the price of what you win when you cheat? You know, boxing is hierarchical, yeah? When you beat here, you go to the next level until you reach the champion, isn't it? So if you cheat here, it means you meet a tougher guy. And it's a sport that pays back immediately because people die in there, okay? So surely if you're going to play the champion, you had better be ready. And we touched this, just talked about, he put it this way, he said, life will figure you out. You understand? You can cheat here, maybe we shall find you at LDC. Even if you cheat at LDC, you protest. I've been representing LDC since 2019. You find people who have not read, they are not interested in this. And this is what we're talking about, the essence. Some people like to wear jackets and look like lawyers, but they're not interested in the lifestyle and what it takes to be a lawyer. So you must ask yourself, are you chasing the image or the real thing? Are you chasing the mirage or the real thing? And I want to, usually we want to leave people on hope. Let me tell you something. One of my classmates used to say there's always room at the top. That's number one. I also want to say, if you think you can or if you think you can't, you are generally right. That's what Henry Ford said. There are people who are not interested in working to be lawyers. For you, what you need to do as a person is to focus on doing the real work. Read the cases. And it shouldn't matter so much what marks you get. Yeah? If you get them very well, okay? He's telling you about Kalila and Kabolik. Many times when I find people in my law firm, interns, I'm asking them about cases. What happened in Attorney General of Northern Ireland versus Gallagher? They have not seen it. You say, okay, let's talk about what is the case that establishes the burden of proof? Wilmington. It is reported in which case? In what year? Who has ever read the report? What was the defense counsel arguing? Was it decided on appeal or not? You understand what I mean? You see what I mean? There's a difference between appearing to know and actually knowing. So for you, if you know that the whole test is to improve your own skills, who exactly do you think you are cheating by plagiarizing? Do you understand? Let me put it this way. How about if this was happening in medical school? Do you want to appear before a doctor or you want to appear a person who cheated their way? Do you want that person to operate on your mother? But for you, you want to be the lawyer who pretends to have understood things that you didn't understand? Barara. Would you pick it and give it back if no one would find out? That is what your integrity is. The trouble I want to warn us, and again, I am not preaching here. Yeah? I told you, I don't know, hopefully many years now you still consider that I'm successful, whatever. By the way, somebody asked us about that, how to be successful in life. One of the reasons we are friends is we share a worldview and values, okay? For example, we do not have exactly as our goal to pile a lot of money. And we in the evening class when we were in law school, we had a student called Ham. Do you know a person called Ham? He's so successful when we say Ham, you know, eh? Mr. Hamis Chigundu is one of the country's wealthiest people. We are not exactly like him. We are very happy for him. Our goals and abilities are different. You understand? And for us, we are like today is a very happy day for us because we've come to share for free, for no expectation, for nothing. That's somebody was asking me your success. Yeah? Then in terms of knowledge, you see, knowledge is, what shall I say? There is a bit of a challenge with the way Ugandan education system goes. People think that they read chemistry, for example, so that they pass. Now there's a lot of, now they are grading them, A, B. Now there's this whole thing of how we don't understand how people. So it's common to hear people saying, why did you waste time in chemistry? What did you get? Somebody even had the temerity to say somewhere on Twitter that, what is the use of teaching us physics? I hear escape velocity. How useful is escape velocity? Meanwhile, the person is using a phone based on satellites. How exactly do you think those satellites escaped Earth? If you read chemistry, I expect that when you go to buy a tin of toothpaste, or when you are using an acaricide, a herbicide, that you'll have at least a modicum of understanding. If you read something, it has sulfuric acid, hydrochloric, it should send something to your mind. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? You understand what I mean? So knowledge is like that. My dad is an educationist. I come from a family that is I'm the least educated member of my family, I think. Everybody has a PhD and all that. I didn't follow that route. That made those people happy. Jasper spoke about that. Find yourself. What makes you truly happy? Or, the things we talked about, the internal markers of success and the external markers. Now I'm concluding for you. I didn't want to do that. I wanted you to fill that gap. But you should have concluded from the ideas we exchange here is that there are internal markers of success, like what makes you happy. Then there are the external markers. For example, it's good to be thought of well by your friends. When you arrive at court, you be the lawyer that other people know that lawyer is knowledgeable. That lawyer is trustworthy. When he says, I'm going to send you, don't cite fake authorities. When you cite authorities, present copies to your colleague. If your colleague's decision is the correct one, tell the magistrate, and the people don't believe that we do this. We obviously do this. I've seen it in my life. I've done it myself. My Lord, under Rule 17 of the professional, this is a real law. Now I'm submitting, this is a proper regulation. Under Regulation 17.2 of the professional, advocates' professional conduct regulations, there's an obligation on advocates to inform court of any fact that they know affects the decision. My Lord, when we appeared here, the court had not decided Guruka versus Attorney General. I have an obligation to tell you, my Lord, that the law has since what? Changed. If you keep quiet, do you understand? I say, don't tell them. We win. First, you are wasting your time if you win that. Because they're going to review and revise the decision, moreover at your cost. I recently did an appeal. I saw that the judge had made mistakes and granted us far more awards than we needed. In the next 2 days, I wrote to the other lawyer and said, we have received the judgment. There are these orders, but we relinquish these ones. We shall not enforce them. It's okay. Oh, are you the lawyer who says, I eat in the chaos? They call it eating in the chaos. Am I answering? So there's a part I didn't connect. Sometimes I do this. I told you my dad I'm the least educated. My dad is very interested in education. So he says, and this is very important. So going back to that point I talked about societal awareness. You remember example I gave you about being a midfielder, a footballer, position awareness? For example, in COVID, you must understand you are looking for an injunction. Okay, people are coming to you, a client is telling you they have laid me off. You must understand we are in what? COVID. Do you know why they call you counsel? Now you must tell your client, now you are the 7th person to come here. Your employer surely cannot what? Employ you because they are not selling. I think maybe what I can do, I have some 50K for you. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it is COVID. The company is not selling. You are suing it for not paying employees. Are you positionally aware? Do you understand what I mean? You are a prosecutor. You have visited the prison. It is totally full. People are sleeping on top of each other. They have arrested people, idle, disorderly. What are you praying for the magistrate? I pray you remand. For what? What is for constitution? What is a community service? Do you understand what I mean? You are opposing bail. The accused person comes from Nyamitanga. The LC has given him a letter. He has committed, what is the offense? Stealing a goat. There is an LC letter. It is bailable. He has everything. My Lord, I raise to oppose bail. Don't be that person. So the point about education is that we should stop looking at education as getting a job. Political economy, introduction to your law. They taught you that. Do you study development studies? It helps you to understand the Uganda. There's a time there was a presidential debate. I'm closing. I know you people are called Chalia. They had many candidates. So they asked the ladies, people were saying, they are going to give people cars and what. Now the last person to speak was the president. So his opening statement in that debate was, I do not know the Uganda these people are talking about. Is this the real Uganda you people? A lawyer must know the real Uganda we are in. Do you understand? So the knowledge you are asking me about is that even if you go to be a farmer and you have no job, you should farm in such a way that shows that you went to school. You understand? So knowledge is not exactly delineated. Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? it is not, knowledge doesn't, it comes together, yeah? It's not like you learnt about the Bible, now when you're in the club, you've forgotten. Okay, I hope you have understood. I'm simply saying, don't think of knowledge just as so that I get a job. That was in the Uganda of the 1960s. Uganda had no educated people. Yeah, the population was 24. All the places like coal districts that had no magistrates. Now, every year we have 2,000 people leaving LDC. Uganda has what? Changed. So you might start a shop, but now I expect your legal mind. You'll issue LPOs. You should understand when the contract is binding. You've ordered cement, they've brought you a different kind. Have you understood that your offer and acceptance is working? You have given somebody money. Write more, write yourself. And I hope you understood what I was saying. AI requires us to be smarter. I don't know if you understand. Do you truly understand? Because if you're a judge, before you have been dealing with arguments written by people, now both lawyers are going to use AI to write their what? And you're supposed to decide between them, so they require you to be smarter. Okay, thank you very much. I hope I've understood. If you have other questions, you'll give them to Esige. You'll send them to me. I'll see if I can give answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Allow me to welcome Mr. Ranjide, the Quality Assurance Officer, to give us a few remarks. Sir?
Good evening, everyone. I'm called Dr. Wanjile Milton. I'm the Director of Quality Assurance, Bishop Stuart University. But tonight here, I'm the Vice Chancellor. I'm the Vice Chancellor. I'm representing Professor J.F. Mujisha, our beloved Vice Chancellor. Good. And I bring greetings from the Vice Chancellor and the entire top management. The VC would have been here, but we had a number of activities. He has been in Nachivare. We have been graduating our first cohort of REACH project, where we are skilling the refugee youth and the use of the host communities. We are skilling them in building, we are skilling them in tailoring, in computer, making yogurt, making soap, so that they can earn a living. Please accept his apologies of not being here. Allow me to thank the faculty dean in absentia, but more importantly, thank Council Alan. Lord Alan, thank you very much. He deserves more than that. He deserves more than that. Thank you very much for taking this transformative approach in legal studies. Allow me also to thank and welcome the Dean of Students, Reverend Canon. You are most welcome to be here. Thank you. Canon Kabachenga. Do you know, is your uncle, is your dean. Take his phone contact. Whenever you have a problem, even at night, call him. When you are in the hostel, that's why he's here. Know him. When you are in the hostel, you fall sick, call him. We have a university ambulance. It will come and pick you and take you for medication. Allow me to thank our presenter for today's symposium, Council Msime John. Thank you very much. When he finished presenting, hold on, don't clap. When he finished talking, I expected a standing ovation. That's what I expected. But you kept seated. But it's not too late, we can do it. Can we all stand up? Let's all stand up. Everybody stand up in the room. Stand up. Those who seated behind there, stand up. We give another round Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can stop. Let's sit. Council, what we have done today is what we are doing. It's one of the main objectives of BSU at this point in time. We are looking at transformative education and digitalization. Transformative education. We must transform you. The way you used to urge cases by the Professor Mukubwas, time has changed. Yes, time has changed. Technology is emerging. That's where we are. What skills do you require in the emerging technology and AI? AI has come. We are now in the fourth industrial revolution. Africa missed out in the first three revolutions. But now we must catch up with the fourth industrial revolution with emerging technology and AI. So as lawyers, you have no option. You have to embrace emerging technologies and AI and be ready to be ethical as you apply. Was it yesterday? Yesterday I had an argument with 3 of your students. One of them is this one. Another one is there. Another one is there. They were talking about completely. They didn't know what is AI. They didn't know what is AI. Then there was a gentleman. AI will make us mechanical advocates. I said, where are these people? I saw them. As someone will say, you saw them, but you couldn't finish them. And I said in my heart, I'm going to engage them after this symposium. I'm going to engage them again. Tomorrow I will engage you because you have attended this symposium. Whereby you are, by the way, I want to tell you that now there are about 14 which have been developed. 14 or more, you would tell me. 14 legal aid chat boxes. 14 AI tools that are used in legal studies and research. Advocate or a lawyer is a researcher. In 1970, Alvin Toffler, in his book, The Future Shock, it's what, in his book, what was shocking, The Future Shock, in 1970, he wrote, I was trying to remind it, he emphasized the importance of adaptability, ability to learn and relearn in the rapidly changing world. You are off the wheel of change. Even when we are young, let me see. Do you honor Nyankore? Those who don't know Nyankore, be near someone who can. Because it was a song that we used to sing when we were young. But some, we are singing the reality. You say, that is what it means. That is what Council Alan has been able to put down. The skills that we require in the emerging technology and AI as lawyers. So thank you very much for organizing this symposium. And it has really made our day. And currently there is we are number 2. You see, was number 1. In fact, I was disturbed because as if we are permanently becoming number 2. And therefore, I can't thank Alan enough for organizing this symposium. Enough, our presenters. Thank you very much for what you have taught us today. You have changed us. You have changed our thinking. We have now transformed. We are now in AI era, and we shall not go back. Our God reigns. Thank you very much for listening to me. And therefore, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I hereby officially close this symposium. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So I'll call Orisha Wadelua to give us the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to deliver a vote of thanks to our speakers, our chief guest, the administration, Bishop's Church University, the Dean of Students, Head of Department, Faculty of Law, Bishop's Church University, Bishop's Church University Law Society, Rule of Law, and the entire students' fraternity. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Orisha Valeluya, LLB4, and I really thank the Lord so much for giving us the courage and grace to carry on this symposium and to be able to be impacted with knowledge from our guest speaker. Our chief guest, Mr. John Musime, thank you very much for honoring our invitation, sparing time from your busiest schedule to come and be with us, not only attend the symposium, but also share your knowledge and thoughts to be able to guide us in your career. We've learned very much from you, and I believe that all students here were noting down, were given various skills that we'll use to be able to attain a successful legal career, and also to be drivers of change, and to be readers, because he gave us various materials that we can be able to read and be able to critically analyze what he's been talking about. Thank you very much for also coming along with Mr. Jasper, who also gave us guidelines on how we can be able to cope up with the disruptive technological advancements as legal scholars. And he also emphasized the aspect of learning. And he told us that if we are not able to learn, then we will not be able to defeat artificial intelligence. Thank you very much, our Dean of Students. In your speech, you were able to bless the symposium, and I'm here to let you know that your blessing has carried us through, and we bless the Lord so much for it. Our head of department, thank you very much for being able to encourage us, and also the projects that you highlighted to us that you're able to, that you're working upon to make sure that we attain the skills that we've been told by Mr. John Musime. Thank you very much, and we pray that they're actually executed so that the entire student's body can be able to gain from it. Doctor, thank you very much for appearing on behalf of our Vice Chancellor. And thank you very much for your encouragement. Thank you very much for being thankful, especially to our chief guest, and also to the students, and also to our head of department. The Bishop Stewart Law Society Cabinet, thank you very much for organizing this symposium. We've been able to learn from it, and we really thank you so much. I am immensely thankful for your tireless efforts. Back to the students' body, entire umbrella, under the entire umbrella of Bishop's Church University. Thank you, Symposium. Thank you very much for being disciplined and being participants. I was able to see the impressive participations of the different students and how you were able to actually answer the various questions that were asked by the chief guest. Thank you. May God bless you. Have a good evening.
All right, without wasting time, I want to appreciate you for the patience, most importantly for holding up to this time. It's been since I came here literally in the morning up to this time. First of all, I want to thank the executive upon whom I serve the student body. When we had a meeting, I insinuated to them the kind of guest that I needed to invite. I was categorical on the nature of guest that I wanted. I wanted someone who the students would relate with. Time again, we were having guests that would come here and talk to us, but they're out of touch of the realities of the students. I was following Council Msime on social media and all that, and I would read through all the submissions that he would do, the write-ups, and I would definitely not hesitate to invite him, and I'm thankful that he honored that invitation, and he has done us justice. We want to thank you so much. Jasper, this was getting 2 products at 0 cost. You should know we have not paid Jasper. We have not paid Council Msime to be here. Out of their own will to serve and give back. Thank you, Jasper, so much. Blessings, blessings. I wish I had known Jasper was coming, but I got a small gift for Council Msime. I hope you don't take offense. I hope you don't take offense, those that are taking the pictures. This is an art piece to him for the time, for, everything done this afternoon. And we thank you so much. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right. We are going to go for a group photo outside here, and we call it a wrap. Thank you so much for those that have made it this afternoon. God bless you. Yes, closing prayer. Let me call Brennan come and pray for us. Hey, the Reverend wanted to close? Since he prayed, you give the blessing. Brennan, come and pray. Reverend will give the blessing.
Let's humble ourselves for a word of prayer. Most loving Father, we say thank you for this moment. We say thank you for we are still alive. We give back the glory to you. We thereafter say thank you for the message that has been passed on to us. May we be able to use it when time comes, and may you bless our different speakers as they head back to their homes. May you grant them journey mercies. And Father, King of Kings, may you lead us too as we head back home. In Jesus' name I've been able to pray.
We can stand for the blessing. The Lord break his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look kind on you and give you peace. And the blessing of God Almighty and the Holy Spirit be upon all of you, my beloved. May that blessing give you complete victory in all your programs. May that blessing be upon guests and accord them journey mercies. May that blessing be upon all the stewards, our parents, our friends, our siblings, and may that blessing never depart from us now and forever.